All right, here we go. I believe we should be online. All right, so um, this is the fourth COscillator form. It's weird. I haven't necessarily figured out how to pronounce the name of my channel yet. Some people say COscillator. Some people say COscillator. Some people say COscillator. Some people say Colorado Oscillator. So, any of those is cool if anyone wanted to know. It's I was originally going to call this Colorado Underground, and then I realized there's a thing called the Underground in Denver, and I'm like, okay, well, I should step on their toes. So so that's this. So this is the fourth one. We're here with Dsqise, who is the label head of Quite Right Records, and they put out a bunch of great multi-genre stuff. If you're not familiar with them, I think the thing I like the most about your record label is that, it's kind of genreless, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's obviously electronic music, but, you seem to just sign things that are good, and you don't necessarily, it's kind of genreless. Am I right about that? Or do you have like an actual, do you have like a vision of the sound that you're trying to put on there?
So you're totally right. And also, when we originally started the label a couple of years ago, I'm gonna say it's been about 3 years now. I'm terrible with time. I'd have to go look up, but
Mm-hmm.
it was for everything, because I like all genres of music, just all kinds of electronic stuff I love. So if you go back to our first releases, we have some glitchy break stuff, some house, techno, we have drum and bass. Eventually, as of, man, has it been a year and a half or almost 2 years now, we then Quite Low we kind of split off and have a sister label, Quite Low. The hat is right here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all the bass music. So then Quite Right is more so house, techno, and there's a little bit of other things sprinkled in, some ambient or some stuff that doesn't really fit in bass music. Then that'll come out on Quite Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of split a little bit, but that's kind of where the focus is. But I really do, I definitely bend a lot of that, because I just really, if it's good and I want, and it makes you feel something, that's the kind of stuff that I want to put out regardless. So you're definitely right as far as that goes. I want to just, if it's good, it doesn't have to just be house or techno. And I know sometimes that gets a little weary with people, but I hope that it at least people can explore different things. They don't have to like all of it, but maybe they might find something that they didn't, that is within, without, outside of the boundaries of techno and house, and that they might like. So yeah, that's always been the goal, at least, is just good music that, makes you feel something. And we say exquisite electronic music. I just like the word exquisite.
It's an exquisite word.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, just to reiterate, that's what I always liked about it, and that's why you know, I like a lot of the labels that come out of here, but I've always kind of had an affinity for you guys, because you guys always seem to, even if the tracks that you release don't get thousands of plays and syndicated all over the place and all that stuff. The interesting thing about it is they always seem to be of really good quality. Um,
Oh, thank you.
so most of the stuff you put out, I hear it, whether that's from Black Wands or Astro Noise or yourself or Andrew or anybody. I'm always or the Illuminati stuff that's
Yeah.
coming out. I'm always like, this is actually really quality stuff that could go on, that could probably get signed to some labels that would in theory do more for them, but they come to you, which I think says something about the integrity of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and I'm super grateful for that, because yeah, some and I mean, a lot of these guys too, what's cool is um a lot of times we'll more early on work with them, and then they just grow, and then they get some releases on some much bigger labels and stuff too, so it's cool. But what's great is a lot of them, they'll still continue to release with us, which is I'm super grateful for, because it's they don't have to. And we try, not just me, there's us as a whole collective, a whole family of people, trying to always keep that that vibe of of everyone feeling included and doing as much to build the artist's career instead of just being like, oh, we put your music out, like here you go. Because I don't know, that's not the reason why I started doing all of this. Like if it was, it would be, I think I wouldn't do it actually. It just, you know, like I want to put out great music, but I also want to like try and figure out how to, want all of us to figure out together like how we can build each other's careers and as artists, you know, from obviously not shows right now, but from releases to licensing to, you know, writing, just kind of like publishing, just really broadening the deal of everyone. And that way it's like, you know, you can be an artist and create, but also how else, you know, can we build you as an artist? So try to do that as much as possible. And I'm definitely like, I'm super grateful for all the guys that have released on much bigger labels and gone on to do things that still come back and will be like, hey, you know, let's do a release, and they're hyped on it. And so it's cool. Like I'm definitely try not to take that for granted, because we are, you know, we're definitely a small label, very new. And so I understand like the dynamic of all that too, you know.
But there's still, you know, like you said, they're still coming back, and you know, and I think that's because maybe that has something to do with the essentially the tribe that you're building in some ways. You know, you were talking about before this got on some of the books that you've read, like for instance, the Navigating the New Music Business by Ari
Her stand.
Herstand. Yeah, I
Yeah.
always see his stuff pop up and on social media, and I've read some of his articles for sure. But you know, there's also I don't know if you're familiar with marketers like Seth Godin. Does that ring a
Oh
bell?
yeah. Shit, I have his purple cow book like right up here. Right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
nice, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that dude's a fucking G, dude. He's like
Yeah.
just so brilliant with, and I subscribe to his like blog, his daily blog newsletter things. Always get that. Um, so yeah, I love his stuff. It's just, it's just this, the things he thinks of, and then you're like, fuck, like it's not like so far out there, but it's those things you're like, damn, like why didn't I need to think about that more often, or like this
Hmm.
is so simple, but I didn't, you know, like yeah, I think there's people like that that can give those bits of advice that you're just like every day, every time you hear something, even if you knew it or you kind of knew it, you're just like
Uh-huh.
hearing it like that made it actually stick. And
Yeah, yeah. He
like
authenticates it.
yeah, it's that kind of shit is so powerful. I don't know. I love those kinds of people that can say something or write something and or create something that you just that you're like, holy shit, like I don't know if you knew that you're gonna have that kind of out or the kind of effect, you know, on the people that consume this, but to be able to like get those kinds of emotions or that context through is definitely like a art in itself, when you can just connect the dots all of a sudden by hearing someone's sentence or paragraph or whatever, and then be like, oh shit, my whole life has changed. You know.
Absolutely. And you know, and I think you guys, maybe it's just you have read him. Um, one thing he talks about is the tribes that you keep, and how everything's a tribe. I believe that was one of his TED talks. I'm not sure to
Yeah.
look up specifically what it's called. Seth Godin tribes. So it is called, yeah, just tribes
Yeah.
by Seth Godin. Um, so basically, you know, you keep your small group of people, your tribe, you know, don't necessarily keep it like completely insulated, but if you're all
Yeah.
working together towards, you know, a collective goal, and you know, your tribe could also be your audience, not necessarily people who are, you know, on your label, but you know, people who follow your label and all that sort of stuff. You know, they're part of your tribe as well, and they work together towards a common goal. And you know, and the common goal in this sense is, you know, getting is artistic appreciation of artistic expression.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. No, I mean, that's, I think, to there's a writing, A Thousand True Fans by Derek Sivers.
yeah,
You ever read? Yeah.
yeah, the guy
And
who does CD Baby, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Even there's a little like memoir book he wrote. It's like 140 pages. It's called shit. I got the audio version of it, and like it's like an hour long, but it's like all these little bits of info that he learned with little stories. I'm gonna look at it right now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
called
yeah.
I think it's
Sources
called
are
any
good.
Anything You Want. Um, yeah, Anything You Want by Derek Sivers. The audiobook's like an hour and 3 minutes, or it's like 140 pages. And he basically did that on purpose to just condense his like 10 or maybe it was longer than 10. I forgot how many years of building CD Baby, of doing all that. Cause he eventually like sold it and then just was like, and so,
Yeah.
and but it was like to get to all of that and all the things he went through and all the things he learned and like how much of an accomplished musician he was outside of CD Baby. It was pretty wild, like all the things he
Oh, I
did
didn't
that
know
were like,
that.
yeah, and all the things also that he failed at music wise that like just, but and so, and just the story of it and all that. So yeah, that book is just like there's little nuggets that like those are these these sentences that just hit you and you're like, fuck, oh my god. So yeah, that's like another one of those. But the Thousand True Fans one is one that it's it's so it makes so much sense when you read it, and then when you think about it, you're like, it doesn't seem like a lot. In both ways of 1,000 people compared to when everyone's popping millions of views and shit, like, but 1,000 people will support your life and your career. Like 1,000 people, 10% of that buying your shirt or buying whatever, like, or buying everything you put out. That's 100 people constantly buying, like, your heart, like they just break it down. And it's one of those things to think about, and like it's really put things in perspective. But it's also, you realize how hard it is to get your mind around that, like, just because it just doesn't seem like a lot when you put it in the context of what, like, you think a successful music career might be, or whatever, depending what success looks like to you, obviously. But uh it's always like all you really do need is 1,000 people. That's fucking nothing, like, and they
Yeah.
talk about that, focusing on building those 1,000 actual fans. Like, fuck all the bloated numbers, like, fuck, like, it's so easy to get caught up in the stupid fucking numbers that you get down on yourself. And it's like, no, if you have 600 people that like are are truly following you and love you and everything, like, are engaging, that is way better than 60,000 where 5% or 2%
Yeah.
actually engaging. It doesn't, it looks cool, but does that translate to merch sales or any type of support? Not usually. If it's not bloated, if it's like actual organic followers and shit, yes, and people that are there. But he talks about just focusing on building those 1,000 people. And it's like, I mean, for myself personally, it's fucking hard. There's always times I have to remind myself and like anchor back to that, like, especially trying when you want to do more for your artists and shit on, like, say on the label. If I really want to get them a feature doesn't happen somewhat, like, then sometimes then you see like another label or someone else get this feature and you're like, fuck, and then you couldn't get it for your artist. So you have to like reel yourself back in, though, because you get caught up in that, like, damn it, like, what are we doing, like, where's the number? And so you get in your head and you have to just realize, like, hey, like, I need to maybe shift, like, I can shift our stop, like, the bigger picture is focusing smaller first. And as much as we want this major premiere, yes, it'd be great, but at the same time, like, there's other things that are just as meaningful and can yield great results if we look in those places. Maybe it's not that big bomb going off, but or maybe it's a terrible reference, but it's not like a big, it's not like, especially the
Face
state of,
bomb. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, sorry, I realized that was kind of like, there's a lot of shit happening in the world. I don't want to reference that, like, and
No,
make it.
it's a colloquialism. I think we got it. So
Yeah,
I think we'll be okay.
yeah,
But
exactly.
I appreciate the sensitivity to the times for sure. I also appreciate people who wisely choose their words. So
Try
you,
to. I mean,
you
yeah,
don't drink, but cheers to that.
yeah. I have water though over here. I have this coffee too. I should not be consuming caffeine. It's like 750. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
terrible.
No, that's not
I've
the
been.
worst, but I'm still high off of the tea that I drank like 3 hours ago, so I don't
What kind of
know.
tea? What
just
kind
a,
of tea?
actually, it's this fine imported, well, not imported, it's from the United States, but it's from a specific state. It's from the state of Arizona, and it's just really fancy stuff from Arizona. So
I'm
uh,
sensing some sarcasm built into this.
no, never. No, that's not me. It's the finest. It's the finest tea that's found in the Four Corners. Let me tell you. Um,
That sounds
growing on the most fertile mesa
fun.
in you know, in a lush desert oasis, Arizona iced tea.
I think you should write their copy for their commercials. Have someone speaking that, because I got a great picture in my head of this mesa that I would be sipping this tea on, because it'd probably be pretty warm and I'll need to cool down.
Yeah, yeah, you're obviously pretty tired by hiking up this mesa, so you need a little bit of caffeine
Yeah,
in
a lot of
order
energy.
to, yeah, in order to make it down before sunset, because
Was it
the desert is dangerous at night.
was it the Retox one?
The
The Arizona,
Retox,
the
no,
Arizona. Oh, okay.
no, no. It was just the classic honey and ginseng. The
Oh.
finest Asian, the finest Asian ginseng.
It's
Filled to the brim with saponins and vitamins.
That sounds great.
Clipped from a royal garden of of a Chinese former Chinese emperor. Um, yeah, who it's been in the family for generations, and now they're just humble ginseng farmers who have forsaken their royal background.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then the honey is pure grade A honey from Arizona wildflowers.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so it's really good. It's amazing. It's only 99 cents, I have to
Yeah,
say, and then
that's crazy. It must. Wow.
yeah, it's a I don't know. I'm amazed by how cheap things are from you know from
From
Arizona.
royalty.
Yeah, from royalty. Yeah, because it's from China. Obviously, that's why it's cheap. But
Yeah, fuck
you know,
right.
but uh, other than that, yeah. So, but anyways, yeah, I'm still kind of buzzing from that. So you might want to be a little sparing on the coffee. Who knows? Unless you've got a some what's it decaf.
I mean, it's like this cold coffee drink, like a keto coffee thing that I poured in because I was like, I might need this. I don't know. I didn't last night. I went to bed at like 2 a.m. and usually I'm like 12 a.m. wake up at 7. But I went like 2 and woke up at 7, and so I was like, in about an hour or two, I'm gonna start feeling a little, but I
Uh-huh.
can't let that. I can't succumb to that. I did on Monday and Tuesday night. I fell asleep early and I like woke up at like 4 a.m. and I was like, where the fuck? Oh my gosh, what is happening? Like how did I end up on my bed? I mean, my bed's literally right behind me, like my studio. My bed is just like I'm in a box. And so
Yeah.
like it's literally like I could just fall into it. And so it does make it easy. So sometimes like I'll just get too high and then I'm like sitting here and maybe kind of nodding off or something, like working on music, and then next thing I know, like I wake up in my bed, but like all my lights are on and I'm like, oh shit, like what just happened? Like how did I get here? And then it's 4 a.m. and then it's just like I'm all dilapidated and shit. But
Yeah.
you know.
Do you
So
find that you could go back to sleep from that, or
yeah, I can. I'm one of those people. I don't know what it is, but like I can fall asleep in like 5 seconds. Like
oh,
I lay down my
jealous?
head, and I know, and that's the thing is, I feel like we're a very small percentage because I tell people that, and they're like, curse me, and they're just like, what?
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for that because like literally, but also sometimes you're like, I don't want to fall asleep right now, like, and I also it's when we go on like road trips and shit, like so my business partner Nate, him and I, when festivals were happening, like we would for a long time we were vending clothing and stuff like that at these festivals, and it was just him and I in our van, and we would go on these road trips and driving and switching off. But like when I was in the passenger seat, like that shit puts me to sleep. Like just like if I'm driving, I'm fine, but if I'm just chilling in the passenger seat and it's like dark out and then it's just like nice and calming, and I don't know, I hate it.
Mhm.
I don't want to fall asleep, and then I do, and he's like, "You're a terrible passenger," and I'm like, "Dude, I'm trying." So I have to sit there and just like chug coffee or like whatever, and that way I'm just like,
Uh,
"All right, let's go!" Like all
yeah.
hyped up like crackhead, just like so I can stay awake in the fucking passenger seat because I can just fall asleep so easily. So it's like a blessing and a curse because sometimes you're like, I don't want to fall asleep right now, and then it's out.
Yeah.
So
The white noise that comes from tires on road. I know what you mean.
yeah,
It's you know basically General Motors approved Valium. It's it's
it
pretty
is, dude.
nice.
It's like that frequency and stuff. I guess it does. You're right, like because like I fall asleep. I can't fall asleep in silence. I have to have like a fan going or something.
hmm
So that white noise, or like some type of ambient like tones playing or some shit. Is otherwise if it's silent, like that's I'll just sit here and then like look around and just be all can't fall asleep. So I
Hmm.
have to like that noise, like I don't know what, it just like puts you into that trance. And so that same shit with the van and the road trip. So it's like I have to like blast some fucking death metal and drink coffee and then ready to go on
Hmm.
those road trips.
Yeah,
So
for
yeah,
real.
man.
Yeah, I luckily it's really hard for me to get comfortable anywhere, so I'm just awake the whole time. I'm a great passenger more or less, so it's I don't
Yeah,
have
dude.
that
See,
problem. But it
that's
sucks for long flights because I don't sleep on them.
oh,
I'm just
see, I'll put
awake.
headphones on. And but see, I always freak myself out that I'm gonna like end up in someone's like on their shoulder and
Uh,
shit. So if I'm in, unless I'm on the window seat, because then I can just lean up against that. But if I'm in the middle, even if I'll like start to drift off because I have my headphones on, like if I'm like planes put me to sleep in that same way. But then I'm so self-conscious about like drooling on someone or like fucking leaning over on them. So then I'll just wake myself up every like couple seconds and like kind of jerking like shit. Okay, I don't need to fall asleep, and then just fall asleep again and jerk. I'm like, damn it, like just sitting there between two people on flight. So it was like, like I don't
yeah,
want to be that guy. I don't want to disturb
yeah,
these people. Like
yeah.
everyone's so high tension on flights so much of the time that you can just feel that shit. And so, like, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but usually being high on the flight, then it doesn't matter. I'm fine. You can do
Yeah,
whatever.
you do whatever you want. Doesn't
I
bother you.
hate using it. I hate using it as advice, but like, I mean, also like, it's like a medicine. I don't know. Weed. It's
Whatever
just weed. It's just
people
weed.
order worth like
Do
40
that.
$50 worth of drinks on a flight. They would cost them normally like $6 $7 if they were to bring it themselves, and
Right.
in order to fall asleep. I don't see the weed as being a vice, but I've sometimes had the problem with weed on a plane where I always take it as an edible for
Oh
it.
fuck.
And I'll be on the plane, and I'll be good, I'll be good, and then then be taken off, and then I'm all high, and I'm like, oh no, what's that sound? That's not normal. And then I have a hard time sleeping. But those are generally good if they're short flights, because then I just get all amped up. I listen to some music and stuff like that. I'm just like ready to go. And I typically put myself in an aisle seat, so I'm the first one up, and I could like stand up without having to bother anybody. So
See, that's smart. I always succumb to like, here's your fucking seat. Like, oh shit, and then
uh-huh.
it's or I get the plane ticket like too last minute where all the good seats are taken.
Hmm.
That was always the problem. The one time I was proactive on buying a fucking plane ticket to Puerto Rico, and then COVID, and then nothing got better. So then like they had to refund it to me, and I was like, damn it! Like I was like on the ball, I was ready. I got this ticket. It was super cheap, and it was at the beginning of everything,
Uh-huh.
and because I had no idea how long everything was gonna go. So I thought by actually last month I was supposed to go, and then yeah they canceled, but I was on time. And I was like, damn it! This one time I was actually like got a good seat, got everything arranged, and wasn't last minute. And unfortunately, it did not work in my favor this time. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's it's some sort of curse. I don't know what law that is, but it's definitely not. If anything that can go wrong will go wrong. It's more if anything that can go right will then be thwarted by extra circumstances.
the
So,
chaos of everyone else's life will intervene with
yeah,
yours, and
yeah,
therefore throw off all the shit. I
yeah.
know,
You'll
because you always have.
you'll never escape entropy. You'll never escape it. It's just the um, beginning of the way. But entropy is a good way to get back on track a little bit, because we were talking earlier. You were talking about the 1,000 fans. Are
Oh
you
yeah,
Is there something you're currently concentrating in order to build that? It's like, I think that goes with entropy, where it's
yeah,
that you're building that sort of that force, or you're succumbing to it in a way. Like, what are you doing in order to hopefully get that?
yeah. Truthfully, for the first 2 years of everything, um, I'll just give a little story so like you understand why I'm here, where I'm at.
Yeah.
Is the first couple of years, like although when we started everything, it was just because I had all these friends that made amazing music that just making amazing music. They weren't putting it out, and some of them didn't believe in their stuff enough to like submit it to a bigger label. And so I was like, fuck it, like I know how to create artwork and all this stuff because I do design is like my main thing. Like Nate and I own a design company, minus and is his artist name. And so um, when we were starting it, it was kind of like it was more of a hobby. Not I say a hobby label. Like I believed in it and I was doing everything, but I was just doing what needed to be done to get releases out, like the artwork, some promo material. Then it's out, but like I didn't know all of what like how a lot of the like label industry works and timelines and all these things, and so I was doing things with not like honestly not like a ton of results, to where like sales pretty fucking low, like all these things, and I was just like, yeah, we're putting music out there and it's out there and I'm giving artists some promo materials and some things like that, but it was just like, okay, like that was kind of it. And so honestly, truthfully, like towards the end of last year I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like if I'm going to do the label, if this is going to be a thing, like I can't just bare minimum. And I wasn't trying to, but I realized like I was just doing enough to get everything out there, but I don't think I believed in that it myself enough in the back of my head that it could really be something. But I had this moment where I was like, I either need to go fully into this or just not fucking do it. Like there's no in between. And that was the same with my music. There was a lot of things. I think it was like a lot of things in my life had built up to this point where it was like, what are you trying to do? And so I was like, no, I really, really do want to do this. Like, okay, yes, I do want to do this, even though we're way the fuck down here and we're trying to get up here and that's a very long road. Like, fuck it. Like, I, so I kind of like had that moment with myself where I was like, nope, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to figure out whatever I need to do to like really bring it to the next level and take it out of this kind of hobby label. Cause it was just, that's kind of what it was. It wasn't yielding a lot of things for the artists, and why, I don't know. I know it takes time, but I was just like in that weird kind of energy and space in my head. So from there, and then this year, my focus has been like really learning and stepping into like look and researching labels that I like. And so basically, I started kind of doing these like studies, like where I would study like obviously some of the bigger ones like Dirty Bird, Tool Room, and be like, what do I like about what they do? What do I like about their website? What do I like about their newsletter? Like sign up for all these things and just start researching how they're interacting with their fans, what they're doing, what their website's like, what their store's like, what all their shit is like, and being like making these lists of what I like about it and maybe what I would do differently, or what or maybe what doesn't really align with the quite right. And studied just labels that I liked the way they did stuff, and that really helped me to show where we were lacking, on a lot of levels, and where I need to get to. And so obviously, like at first, it was like all these things, and I kind of got overwhelmed, and then I had to be like, no, let's try and take it back down and find some focus points. And one of the things was like getting our releases on a much longer planned out schedule, to where instead of like me submitting everything a month or two before, we're like 6 months out.
Oh,
Yeah, and, which is hard when I was just like, I mean, in the beginning too. Now I have, Minus, he helps me. I have Andrew Bombosher, a couple other people that like volunteer their time and they're amazing and help with the label, and Joe, and Salty, just like little things that help a lot of the burden. But in the beginning, it was like I was doing everything, and it was great because like manage it, but then it got unmanageable, and I was like falling short on stuff and submitting things super late, and then not submitting to blogs properly, and like not being able to get premieres, like just all these missteps, and that's why the results weren't happening. And so I was like, okay, let's reel all this shit back and let's figure out where my weak points are, what I need to work on. And that's kind of what I've been doing now. And so I actually did like this. Sorry, this story is way longer than I thought.
no, keep going. This is all good. Don't
I did.
don't apologize for good info.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I did this one-on-one Zoom call with Jesse. I think it's Bredy from Gravitas. He owns Gravitas Recordings. And I just really, even though like they do some house and stuff, but most of their stuff's like bass music and things. They have amazing music on there. And I've always just loved like everything they do, like just, and everything that they put out, they would do these like inspirational messages or these different things, plus their music, plus the way they interact, they talked about their artists, just like across the board. I was like, fuck, like this is dope. Like I love the way these guys present themselves, how they interact. Like they have a Discord, like I hopped on their Discord and just like watched how they're interacting with the people on there and like all this stuff, and just I was like, this is really cool. So that was one of the labels I studied, and they happened to have this thing where you could do like an hour call with Jesse, and it was like an artist. It was originally like for your artist career, like he would do like a artist overview and help you build out and help you find weak areas and things you can improve on for your artist career. But I was like, yo, I'm actually really interested in how you built your label and build and running it and everything. Right now that's where I'm at. And so we ended up talking for like 2 fucking hours, and he just like blew my fucking mind with everything he said. And he gave me these assets and all these things. And I was just like, it was really like made me realize, like, from where I stood to where that is, you're like, whoa, like seems like I realize that's possible, but I just realized like night and day how to get to that level once talking to him. And you're just like, okay. So that made me just rethink, come back and like refocus again. And one of the biggest things was like getting these releases, getting these releases out. And
That's something he brought up, was the
yeah,
release schedule.
yeah, like they have, and I no joke, like they are like on a 6 month, and I was just like that. And the way they broke it down from creating, from like, this is the release, signing it, contract, to like the next steps of preparing, and then pre-release, and then release day, and then post-release. And so it's just this whole, and I was like, oh my god, this makes so much sense. It gives so much time to like promote and properly, like, and just onboard the artist, and just all these things, just all of these things that from a business point I ran just like a business that onboards someone and all these things. But why I didn't correlate that until this meeting for the same shit as the label as a business. But yeah, it was just like this like and so like that the release schedule is something that now like I've switched up. But we basically have one more big release, and then I'm like on this 6 month schedule. So things are coming out to like next spring, summer, which is like really hard to wrap my head around, but I have to just trust it. And so that was one of the things, just like seeing all these other labels do it, and then having it broken down like that, and just really resonating with that. I was like, all right, I'm going to fight it, because I want to put this music out, and it's 6 months seems like so long. And there's so much good music that people, that artists, like some of our artists are creating and stuff. That I'm like, oh, I just want it out now. But it's to make it bigger, and hopefully get more like a premiere, and get more stuff written, and get all these other things. Like you need that like 6 month window.
Yeah, definitely. Was it I do my day job is marketing, and then I'm a musician as well. I go by Fckdsko, and I've always had good. So I do marketing and press, so I understand how this works. I
Oh,
do
so
it for
yeah.
brands, and you know, so I was always just surprised that I don't really see a lot of locals getting press, because to me it just seems so intuitive and easy. But I think it's because of what you just said, is that people don't view things as a timetable. They don't
Yeah.
pre-prepare for the release. They just want the music out there. But once you put something out there, it's now old news.
Yeah.
You'll never have the same amount of ability to get press, uh, from the based on how novel it is. I mean,
Yeah.
that's an adage in press: is time is time is as old as time. Is
Yeah.
old news isn't news. So
True.
people are going to be less likely to do anything with it. So I would always, maybe I wouldn't be on a 6 month one, maybe closer to like 3 more than
Yeah.
anything. I'm still not very good at distribution yet. It's not something I totally understand yet. I just let other people do it. As far as like getting it out to the services and all that sort of stuff is something I'd like to know more about. But as far as like getting, you know, ears on sound, that's something that you gotta prepare for. So did you what releases have you done this with so far, or have you not entered any on this, and this is like a new journey that we're starting?
Oh yeah, this is like, so we have one more. So this is what I did. Like, I'm transparent, I don't care. What I did
No,
is,
this is good.
uh, um, is we had a bunch of releases in line,
Mhm.
And already when I had this conversation and I was just sitting there and I was like, I cannot push these releases out 6 months, not when we've already have these dates set with the artist, all these things. So I was
Uh,
like, so I didn't want to push them out 6 months, but I wanted to be able to put them all out under something that I could give all my attention to, and instead of, a little bit of attention to this release and this release. And so we're doing a compilation that comes out November 13th, and it's like 13 tracks, and it comes out on Friday the 13th. I just thought it was kind of fitting because it's gonna this is not this same self promo, but it's gonna be called "The End of the World is Coming." That's cool. And so
that's cool.
yeah, and just like 13. So I basically was like, had to get with all the artists and was like, hey guys, so this is why I'm at this point. This is what I'm thinking of doing. And instead of pushing all the releases out, let's do one big one. Like, this is the last release of the year, so everything goes to this. And everyone will be highlighted appropriately, everything. And so that was my first answer. So then now it's like I'm planning all new releases after this compilation are 6 months out.
Uh-huh.
So that was like just the way that I could figure out how to not delay things more, and just like, because that's like disheartening too as an artist. Like, oh, you've already
Mhm.
waited 3 months and now 6 more months. Like, nah, fuck. By that
Yeah.
time, you're like, I want this damn track out.
Yeah,
So,
you just want to
uh,
forget about it and move on to,
yeah,
which is,
yeah,
I think, is a hard thing for artists to reconcile. At least it is for me, because like it's my baby, but it's something that you read over and over again. It's like, look, you just need to get things out there and just forget about it,
yeah,
so you can move on.
that fucking output, man. Like, uh, and that was, yeah. I mean, shit. That was honestly another thing that I was struggling with. I have so much. I mean, a lot of my attention goes to the label, so it's not, a lot of it does get taken off of music. And what I've been working on is like chunking out my time, like to where it's like every night at least 2 hours on music, like, or bare minimum an hour. Like, cause some nights I would like work on stuff for the label until I fall asleep, and then, which is fine, but it's like it doesn't help my creation and output, and then
Uh-huh.
things sit, and so I had to be like, okay, I have to make this work, like, no matter how tired I am, no matter what, like at least an hour, like at least, which sounds so tiny, but it's like if I can do an hour every night instead of only doing like 2 hours or 3 hours once that week, then that helps my output. But then the next part was just being like, not getting so caught up in the bullshit of things not sounding perfect, right? And it's just a myth anyway. But there's
Yeah,
no
right.
such thing as perfection. Like, that's just like prolonging shit because you're afraid of how people will receive it. So that was another thing I had, is I have
Just
all this
call it
music.
just call it lo-fi, and then you don't have to worry about it. That's what I did.
Yeah,
I think my mixes aren't that good. I'm like, I'm now lo-fi.
right.
So
Lo-fi house. Fuck
yeah,
you.
yeah, exactly. It sounds like shit, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, this
You,
is meant to be like this.
yeah.
And but
I did
I
spend
mean,
3 months on trying to mix this, and then eventually gave up. So I named it lo-fi.
fucking right. But then, like, but the thing is too, is like, there's so much music that I'll listen to, and the only time that I really realize if there's like a big difference in the mix is if, I mean, if it's like really shit, or
Mhm.
like if you're playing it out live on a club system and like the two tracks mix is just, that's like the time you can be like, oh shit, like this is
uh,
really not right. But if most of the time, if you're just passively listening, like, then like the mood of the track and things a lot of times does not, yeah, like something that's produced really well that can really hit, and is like just really taken everywhere, then like, yeah, sometimes you're like, oh wow, this is everything I need. But there's a lot of music that will move you and have an effect even if it's not perfectly produced. Like, I love Burial, well, like,
uh,
his fucking the mix downs and like his early shit is fucking terrible. Like, it's
yeah,
terrible, it's muddy as hell, and you're just
but
like,
that's the
when I was
charm.
but yeah, exactly. But I love that shit. But like, you play it out, try to play that track out at a club to something else, and it's gonna sound like ass. So it's just like, it's one of those things where, like, reconciling with that and just be like, this is where I'm at the time. This is this. Even if you like, sorry, even if you listen to like other artists, like early shit, a lot of it's like, mixed down. A lot of it's
Mhm.
like kind of and but it's like, but it's still dope. But it's just like there's early like Sage Francis stuff that I love, but like, blow the mix down. Now that like I am like am much better with my mix downs and shit and understand things more, and like, I'm like, oh my god, wow. I want to just like
Yeah,
remix and master this myself, so I can listen to it. But it's still so good. Like, I can get past a lot of that shit, So it's more that feeling. So yeah, it's more so just been like, you know what, here it is. This is where I was at the time. This is what was going on. Boom, there it is. Next, here's my next idea, and not worrying about like, oh shit, it's not as good as this and this and this, and so I'm not gonna put it out. And it was like, in that fucking book, the Ari Herstand book, he's also like, it doesn't matter what ideas you have. It only matters like what output and creations and things that are actually out there. Like other than that, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter all the music you write or anything. If it's not out there for like in the world, off your hard drive or whatever, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. Like, and it's like, fuck, dude, you're right. Like it doesn't matter how much shit I have if it's not somewhere that people can listen to it, and I'm not putting that artwork out there in that way, it doesn't exist technically.
Mm-hmm.
And
Especially since it's sound.
yeah,
Sound only exists when it's interpreted by somebody else.
yep.
Other than that, it's
Only,
just noise.
yeah, just
Other
ones
than
and
that's just
zeros.
Other than that's just vibrations. Yeah, it's nothing. So
Just wiggly air.
just wriggly air. That's all
Sound
it is.
is. I remember where the fuck I saw that. I was like, sound is just wiggly air, and I was like, oh man, that's fucking great. It's like
Convince
my
me
favorite.
otherwise or whatever.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I've seen that one.
yep, yep. It's like, yeah, actually, that's exactly what it is. And you're right. It's crazy. Like, there's fuck, what is that book called? I have it. Oh man, I can't. My room is dark. It's darker with this lighting.
I'm sure those glasses don't help either. Your peripheral vision
Right.
get a
I
little.
know. It's called, oh, This Is Your Brain on Music, and he talks about
Oh yeah.
like, if there's no if your ears weren't built the way they were to interpret sound the way they do, like essentially that doesn't exist, because you have to have the modem to receive the modality to receive it, or yeah, you have to be able to receive it for it to actually exist. And then it's like, otherwise it fucking doesn't. It does not there. It's just like you said, it's just airwaves and things. But if you don't have something to pick it up, it just it's invisible fucking shit. And it was just like, and he explained all that, like if your brain wasn't able to process sounds the way coming into your ears, and all of that system is like how we experience music. And it's like to think about, if none of that works properly, or you didn't have it, like, which is like, to me, and like I'm always like, whew,
Yeah.
grateful for my ears, because like, yo, like
Take my eyes.
yeah, there's a lot of things I could live without. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, so I'm not like downplaying anything that anyone's gone through, but like, my ears would be one that I would just like I could just at least soothe myself by listening to music. Like
Yeah.
if things had happened and I was, you're trying to like work through those, like doing without something, because all of our senses are obviously important, but like that's why we're built. But that's the one thing I'm like, man, if I didn't have the devices to experience this, which also, kids, fucking wear earplugs and shit in your
Yeah.
damn
Oh man.
shows and protect your fucking ears. Can we just PSA that shit? Like, I can't
Yeah.
stress it enough.
I
Like,
need to do that. I really do. I'm gonna kill myself. But maybe tinnitus will become my signature and my sound, where it doesn't sound like that unless there's a tinnitus.
right? They're
So.
like, somehow he makes these weird sound so like this, and you're like, yeah, it's because he hears this fucking ringing the whole time. It's affecting everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I have some on my wall right there hanging, but like those are the V-Moda earplugs, and then $20, and they come in a case, and they have different sizes, and they're made for, I mean, obviously right now we're not really going to concerts where it's like, or if it is, it's like silent discos or lower volume. But when things come back to regular volume, or you go to like some fucking illegal party or something, then wear some earplugs, because like, yeah, you don't want to have to deal with that shit. Like, you just don't. It just is not, especially if you really like music. If you don't like music, then whatever, like maybe you don't give a shit. But if you are someone that likes music, which it's like anyone that goes to events and anyone that's in music, like almost every human resonates with it, and it's like it's something that helps us with fucking everything. You can get through anything with music, and people say that all the time, and like, it's true, because you can find a mood and something that fits exactly how you're fucking feeling, and then it's like, oh, I relate to this, or this person understands me, or this fucking song is exactly how I'm fucking feeling because I can't express it, so I
And
feel
you're in the
like,
moment. Music
yeah,
puts you in the moment. Like it lets you
yeah,
to live
most
in the
present.
present. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, you're like, obviously people, and I do it too, you can listen to it in the background when you're working and shit, but otherwise, like, most of the time when you're experiencing it, you're there, or at least more present than not. And when you're making it, you're definitely most present, like ever, when you're DJing, because you're just like, here I am in this moment thinking about right now, but then how does now go into the next now and shit. But like, I think that is like the most present you can be, even if you can just sit there and put music on and close your eyes because you're fucking, the world's collapsing in or whatever, right? And then it helps you just like ease all that shit away. And because it, in that book too, the This Is Your Brain on Music, he talks about how music is the only thing that imprints on every area of your brain. So like the smells and the sound, or the sounds, the sights and the smells and the touch, like all of that is like basically imprinted for songs. That's why songs have such a great, it like can have such a bad response to us, or can bring up really intense memories, or help us get through difficult times, but like because it imprints on every level. So the song can bring back the smells and the feelings and everything, like just from that, because it imprinted all at once when you're listening to a song, which that's the only thing that really does that. And so that's why like patients that have dementia. Have you ever seen that documentary? Shit. Hold on.
What's what we got the internet for?
Yes, the internet. The
The
internet. Okay.
Grande Biblioteca.
Music. Alive Inside.
Alive Inside. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out.
If you want to, okay, fucking warning. If you want to like lose your shit, like, because it's like lose your shit in like a good way, because it's like really like soul wrenching to see, but really beautiful to see like how music affects these dementia patients. And that's what it's about. It's about what happens when they listen to the music of their time or their favorite stuff, is like they come fucking alive. Like, because that what happens is the music lights, since your brain imprints on every level when it hears the music, when you hear that again, it lights up all of those parts of your brain. So now, and so in these dementia patients, they did all this study and this whole documentary on them listening to music. And like, there's people that would be like unresponsive, wouldn't do, like just completely just vote. And then they put like headphones on and they would like get up and dance and talk and sit. And you're just like, it's fucking wild. But it's also like heartbreaking, because you're like, holy shit, like it's just a very like push and pull, like emotional like movie. But yeah, it's so crazy to see that shit, and to see that like they accidentally kind of like stumbled upon that, like it was an accident. They did it to try, it was just more so this guy was working at one of his places, and I think if I remember correctly, it's been a couple of years since I watched it. I need to like go rewatch it now, actually. But now that I
No, this sounds great. It's right up the lines of things that I think are fascinating in music. But go on.
Oh yeah, no, and just like they kind of stumbled upon it, and then they're like, holy shit, like look at these effects. And I had seen that, and then I had read that book, and I was like, oh my god, it makes so much sense why that happens now. Because at first, I mean, they explain it in the movie and stuff too, but it just kind of like really put it all together, and then you just realize like how powerful that shit is. And that sounds like so cliche, like, oh, music is powerful, but like, it's one of those things where you're like, no, that it really
is
profoundly is. And it's like, yeah, and that totally diverted from wear your fucking earplugs, but that is why you wear your earplugs.
I mean, that's not divert at all. It makes sense. You wear your earplugs so you can hold on to
music.
Yeah. So you can hold on to your sanity in a more meta way. It's the music, but it's hold on to your memories, hold on to your persona in a lot of ways. Have you ever read about neurofeedback therapy?
No, I mean, I haven't read about it, so no.
Oh, you're gonna want to look into this.
I'm gonna write this down.
Yeah. So I think the most mind-blowing thing that you could watch for this is a direct relationship between music and neurofeedback, and it's something that's pretty new. And this is just before I get more deep into this. Are you familiar with who Ben Jordan is by any chance?
Flashbulb?
The Flashbulb, yeah.
Yeah, I fucking love Flashbulb.
Me too. One of my favorites. I've seen him twice, which is pretty dope.
I've never seen him. I hate you.
Yeah, he's hard to see. I flew out to San Francisco to see him once, and then he played in Denver, and I basically had to beg for an invite. So
Was that
eventually,
at fucking art gallery at Threada?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was an interesting spot to see him. It was a little too cavernous. The last time I saw him was at like 1510 Folsom or whatever it is in San Francisco.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that was
15.
I think that's what it is. Something Folsom Street, something Folsom in San
Oh
Francisco.
sweet.
And it's a cool spot. But anyways, he does one where he rigs up a neurofeedback thing to work with. Just, I'm gonna look it up really quick.
Yeah.
It's really complicated. Ben Jordan neurofeedback. So I don't know. Ben Jordan's amazing because he's just like a savant in a lot of ways.
Yeah. It really
Um, so
is.
he used generative music to reprogram his brain. So I think the way
Wow.
that it worked was that he would put signals. And so basically the way neurofeedback works is that you have certain tones and certain frequencies that essentially feed back on. So you will listen to a tone at a certain frequency. All right. And then somehow that does some sort of repairing to different parts of your brain. Like, for instance, in elderly people, they found that it would help grow their hippocampus, for instance,
Oh,
these neurofeedback. Like, if they played like a certain frequency in one ear and then they put like a light thing over another one, they would vibrate at a similar hertz, but in color.
whoa.
And then it would be able to like retrain their balance and retrain their memory as a
Oh
result of that.
fuck.
So
Whoa.
something that he did, if I remember correctly, it's been a while, and I recommend people who watch this take this all with a grain of salt. But he would take the tone would like play like he wanted to get better at something. I forget what it is, but the tone would play back to him, and then it would go into essentially like a modeling system that he wrote. That when he like would do like the exercise you're supposed to do with it or something like that, it would then play back and it would generate like these different tones that were based on the
Oh.
feedback that he was giving the actual machine. And he I forget what he did in order to train it, but by the end of it, he's like, "This is freaky. It's working a little too well." He's like, "I should
Yeah.
probably hold off on this before I accidentally, he's like, I'm not an expert on this. This is obviously really powerful. It's going to, um, it might potentially do something adverse that I don't want it to do."
Yeah. Wow.
But so he would do things like that. Use music, generative music that he algorithmically wrote in order to retrain his brain to accomplish certain things, whether that's being more
Whoa.
coordinated or
Damn.
more loquacious or have better memory or be more productive or whatever. He would do that, and I forgot how it works. It's almost worth me share screening this really quick and seeing if I can just
No, yeah,
bring it
do
up.
it.
I think people would want to see this. So
Fuck
rather than
yeah, I want to
looking,
see this.
yeah, let me get this
Sweet.
up. Hopefully, I can. Oh,
This
that's
is
loud.
this is where one day you'll have someone in the background and to the side that'll bring up all the clips for you.
Yeah, yeah. I need my
Bring
Jamie.
that clip. Yeah, be like Jamie, bring that clip up. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So what do we got here? Blah 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 blah. So I'll go to the part where he's actually doing it. He explains everything in it beforehand. He's got like a huge intro. Can generative music reprogram your brain is what it's called. So I have not share screened YouTube on this. I don't believe. So let's see if I can. If you got,
Yeah.
I'm gonna click share screen, and then I think this is the one I want to use. Or I'm just gonna bring it into a new window so I don't have a crap ton of tabs. Hold on, audience.
No worries. Yeah,
Um, People do watch this, which is cool. People watch about 800 minutes of it every single time I put it up.
that's
So
fucking dope.
yeah, so I'm surprised. Thank you everybody who actually watches this.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, they're all Colorado people. Each one has reached about 1.4 1,400 people roughly.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
See,
so
look at that. 1,000 fucking people, dude. Just continue and that'll just build.
yeah, I don't know if do you see it?
I do. I see it.
All right, do you hear sound?
No.
No. Hmm. That's lame. Zoom. Shit. This is probably something I should have figured out beforehand.
That's okay.
New share, pause share, more.
Shit, I didn't realize this motherfucker had all this.
Oh,
all this
it's amazing.
content.
Yeah, that's all
Oh
he does
man.
now. And I watch pretty much all of them. And he's like, I don't know. You just realize how, I don't know, he's just a savant. I have no other way of putting it. He does one where he makes his music the way he used to make it. One of his like old Yamaha sequencer keyboard things.
Yeah.
And it just looks so tedious and evil. And and you're like, and he figures this thing out. I'll be like, I would never have the patience for that. Ooh, share computer sound.
Yeah. Dude, I've been so my friend Zila has a MPC 2000, the XL, and like we've been working on music, but we've been just doing it with sampling into the MPC, just like a totally different way because I'm normally used to working in Ableton. And it's like it's fucking awesome because it's a totally different way to work, but also like holy fuck, man, like I realize how spoiled I am with Ableton and computer because there's certain things that to do are so damn fucking tedious to like add effects or to pitch things, and you have to let it process it and then listen to it, and so you got to like calculate it all beforehand, and then like just
Yeah.
all these things you realize you take for granted. It's super cool. It's so much fun to do it that way. But like it was just like holy fuck, dude, like totally different amount of time to even just do like little things, and I'm like I would have cranked out a whole fucking song by now, and I have got just a few loops, you know. So I've also been learning how to use it as we're doing it, like so because I've never really used one. I've always wanted to, and so this has been like a whole new experience of writing music.
Yeah, and it's just a different instrument, so I'm assuming things just come out differently. But I think I finally got the sound to work. I'm just worrying that for some reason when I clicked the button, this all got muted for some reason. I don't think that's the case, but fingers crossed that's not the case.
All right.
Let's try this. Do you hear it?
The video stream
Yeah, I do.
Waves went too far above the baseline, and when I swiped away the stress and they went back down, the video would resume, and I would be rewarded for it. I did this for an hour a day, every day.
Let's go back a little bit. You seem to be explaining it.
And finally, a whole bunch of dopamine. And sure enough, my frontal gamma readings reacted the exact same way when I did the other stuff. So I switched EEGs to a model called the Muse 2, which trades quite a bit of accuracy for portability and ease of use. And I made a program that simply paused a video stream whenever my gamma waves went too far above the baseline. And when I swiped away the stress and they went back down, the video would resume and I would be rewarded for it. I did this for an hour a day, every day, and within 2 weeks, my brain seemingly created new neural pathways that punished me for being distracted by stress and rewarded me for being more focused and mindful. I can confidently say that after months of doing this, in my personal experience, it has changed my life. It has helped me think, work, and learn more efficiently, and most importantly, I'm just happier. Our brains are really good at compensating, amazingly good, and this made me wonder if using the exact same medium would have a duller effect over time, or if my brain would actually decrease the effect of the neuronal connection that associates my reward center with the video stream being resumed. So I changed things up a bit by essentially doing the exact same thing with the Super Nintendo emulator, but at a slightly adjusted scale because, in my case anyway, the stimulus of playing a video game increases my gamma activity and therefore changes my baseline. In case somebody watching this thinks that I've discovered or invented something, let me be totally clear. No credit is due to me whatsoever. What I dove into here is already a thing, and it's called neurofeedback, and it's being used to effectively treat everything from mental health issues to reducing the frequencies of things like migraines and seizures. It's an incredibly interesting and powerful field, and I am beyond excited to watch it continue expanding. Now that all the serious stuff is out of the way, I've popped open a heavily overpriced Oreo cookie flavored beer that is just wonderful, and most of my viewers are probably wondering when the fuck I'm going to control a synthesizer with my brain.
Here we go.
EEG, quite conveniently for a musician like me, communicates using OSC, which is called Open Sound Control, and is like wireless MIDI. And
Nerd
it can work
alert.
with anything from Reactor to Mac to even some Eurorack modules. But a quick word about the Muse before you throw your money at it. First and foremost, the company advertised and promised a development kit that, to be very nice, I would say was limiting and frustrating to work with. So they went together and got a meeting, and they're like, yo, should we fix this? And then they're like, nah, fuck it. And they just abandoned it completely. And quite a lot of EEG enthusiasts and even scientists. Instead, now the official Muse app has some sort of subscription service that's like guided meditation, but in my opinion, to be frank, I think their algorithms are garbage. You establish a baseline in a matter of seconds, and that's pretty dangerous. It took me a couple weeks to establish mine. Muse does have a pretty crowded and lively Facebook community, but most of the posts are people trying to competitively out-meditate one another, so it's funny, I'll give it that. If you don't have any programming experience or ample amounts of patience, the Muse may actually be a frustrating option for you. Then you might want to go with my initial pick, which was the OpenBCI.
Right.
The reason I didn't stick with the OpenBCI is that it took
For the
me
sake of
longer
time,
to
I'm
set it up
going
than
to
it
fast
did
forward
the
just a little bit.
feedback session.
He's trying to do the algorithm stuff for YouTube.
EEG device.
Longer the better. Here we go.
This is stupid. Now
He's
let's
blinking
build a reactor patch that speeds
to
up
do
when
it.
my thoughts get more active. Still stupid. I'm just giving my future self work now. Ben, I want you to create a patch that creates calm, positive music when you're relaxed, but as you get more stressed out, it'll get more atonal and hectic, and then also maybe some quantized notes that are triggered by your blinks. After spending a lot of time setting this up and tweaking it so it works the way that it's intended to work, I'm realizing that this is by far the most ambitious thing that I've done in this video, and this is by far the most ambitious thing I've done in this channel. Because I'm not aware of any neurofeedback that is based on music changing or on anything that would actually give you a temperature shining back, if that makes any sense. It's hard to describe, but it would sort of mirror your feelings so you'd have a better time guiding your subconscious stress. There's a lot of things going on in this room right now. I have a bunch of things connected wirelessly. Everything's running out of batteries simultaneously. And not only that, but I'm speaking to a camera in which, you know, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people will be viewing it at some point. And so that actually raises my stress levels quite a bit and makes me anxious. So hopefully I could get my gamma waves down to the nice area where the music will sound pleasant and it will reward me. And hopefully
I think it's happening right now.
I can make this all work.
Right, it looks here. It sounds like it.
All right, so let's try it. I'm not gonna cut. Fuck that. All right, let's turn the audio up. EEG's working. Oh, I'm so stressed out. You hear that? I'm so stressed out. All right. Meditate.
Whoa.
Still stressed.
It's so funny because every single time that I get a little bit distracted and worry about the EEG not connecting properly or my camera going out of focus or something, I can hear it in the music. I'm going to relax in my chair and we're going to do this.
He just smoked a joint.
For real, dude.
Wonder what that would be like.
I would love to try this and like smoke a J.
The moment I get distracted by any little
thing,
I immediately get
Yeah,
punished.
who knows? Well,
all right, I got to relax my body a bit more.
Okay. I think I'm gonna pause it.
That's fine. People should go check this out. I'm gonna fucking watch this at like later. This is tight. Like,
yeah.
Whoa. I'm fucking blown away right now.
Yeah. New wave making music for sure.
No, like, dude, and just like even the way like having that response mechanism, like as you're like even like doing breath work or meditation, but you're listening to that instead. So you're listening and trying to basically focus on these calming sounds, which will then come by focusing on your breath and relinquishing thoughts of stressful shit. Like I could see how that would be like, you know, instead of listening to like ambient sounds while you meditate or whatever, it's like now you're you're working on controlling and then associating the controls of these tones with that, and then like that calming. And because that was crazy just even listening to that, and I'm like, man, if you hear him take that deep breath and everything comes back down, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you could use that just to, like how he's saying, like train yourself to really like be at this different state of being essentially more normally, when you can like help reduce your stress levels through music, but you're creating it with your, that's fucking wild, dude. That was cool.
Yeah, isn't that nuts?
Wow.
I recently met these guys. I guess I could do a plug here for a little for these guys.
Do it.
Yeah. So it's actually kind of related to something that's going on in Denver. I don't know. Do you know Pablo Vasquez?
Yeah, I know Pablo V.
Yeah, Pablo V. Well, anyways, I don't know if you've seen what he's doing, but his cousin works is in a band that basically is like the house band for this record label that covers any genre of music. But what they are is they're actually a supercomputing company out of Colombia, and what they do is they turn the building blocks of DNA and specific parts of DNA, like a specific gene, and they turn it into MIDI. Is what they do. It's called sonification.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, yeah. And what they're doing is they got the producer who his name's Dara out, and he is a techno producer out of Medellin. And he basically is like one of the bigger techno artists in Colombia, and he runs a really dope club in there. And he's been on a bunch of cool labels. I've been to his club.
What's his name?
Dara out. So Dera. One second. I should know this. I just wrote a whole article about him.
That's right.
Deraout. Dara out.
Okay, weird. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, and so he makes really dope music. But this is coming out October 7th, and it is the DNA, the melodies and the bass line in this like ambient techno song are the unaltered MIDI sequence of the THC gene of the cannabis plant.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's a cool ass sounding song. I'm looking forward to it coming out officially.
Dude, that's tight as fuck. I'm definitely gonna have to check that out because
yeah, I could introduce you. They're doing a label, and they're more than willing to, just get artists to like do, probably some licensing sort of thing, like where you can co-license or something like that. And they're really building up their labels. So, and they're new. This is probably the second song they've released on it. The last one they did was of the COVID, part of COVID. I'm not sure specifically which part, but so yeah, they did. So they did that, but they weren't the first ones to do that. They first guy who did that, I guess they did within days of each other without really even realizing it. But there's this guy at MIT who more famously did it. His name's Marcus J. Buehler, and he did the entire sonification of the protein spikes on the SARS-CoV-2 virus. And specifically like the protein spikes are on it, the things that give it the corona essentially. And he turned it into this really beautiful piece of like 2-hour long, somewhat atonal classical music, I would call it. Like neoclassical atonal stuff that's just a direct representation of it. And the scientific purpose for it is when you reanalyze the composition of it, you can actually see in the composition where the gene is mutating.
Oh shit.
So that was his purpose for it. And
that's fucking cool.
yeah. And what these guys hope to do one day is use their software to, right now it's just creative because they think it's cool, but what they imagine is these Colombian guys is that they'll be able to use it to design new materials and come up with new the material, like if this apparent process got designed for material scientists apparently in Japan in the 80s. So so now they're hoping that with the new treasure trove of big data that we have in the 21st century, and all the data points that there actually might be in the near future, a future where our materials are designed by music, which is pretty
Whoa.
freaking cool.
Wow. That is fucking cool. It's
Yeah.
fucking it's wild how all of that shit connects. Like how you can synthesize a gene and it creates music, and like there's that dude, fuck, I forgot his name, but he like synthesizes music from plants,
Oh, I've
create
seen
like
that. Yeah.
photosynthesis. Yeah, and like all the music is just like this beautiful ambient shit, and it's like whoa. And you know, which is then like math, which is like then in everything, and it's like all of that, like in because obviously like music is sound waves, which is frequencies, which is when numbers, and so it's like all that shit tying in, and it's just like it's like yes, it's like duh, but it's also like you just don't think about it, and then that kind of shit happens, and you're like a fucking chorus, like it all works together, it's all part of this same system. Like why wouldn't each thing be able to contain something like that? It's all, you know, like it's all the fucking the frequencies that are constantly happening everywhere all the time around us, like on multiple levels, you know, like, and so you get to all of that together. Of course that you could synthesize beautiful music from it, but you just don't think about it, and then you hear that and you're like, that's fucking incredible, duh. But like, you know, like you're like, that's so obvious, but like not, you know, it's really like it's really cool that our that shit exists in our world. Like, and we take that, I mean, I take it for granted, but like we take that for granted, like whoa, we can experience that and do those things. And then it shows you how everything is, this is some like I'm high shit right now, but that just shows you like how everything is connected in that way, right? Like it's pretty fucking mind-boggling. But yeah, that, just hearing that, you're just like, that's fucking cool. People do cool shit. Like humans can do some really cool shit.
Yeah.
Like we find some really cool things to do, and especially like that. That's pretty mind-boggling. I'm fucking blown away by that Ben Jordan and by the stuff that Pablo and his guys are doing. Like, whoa, that's fucking
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. No, it's I hope it becomes more of a thing, because
Yeah.
I think that's, because you think about nowadays, especially, it's so difficult to think about what's the next step in music. What's the you gotta get that
Yeah.
posted.
I gotta get
what's
the post photo.
Yeah. So it's like that. I don't know. Uh, you think about like what could be next in music. Like there's so many genres out there, and people could put genres of music together, but you still look around and you figure, well, a lot of that's been done, but you start to think like what's next, and it seems like, at least in my opinion, it's the context in which music is made and experienced, and how
Yeah.
it's made and experienced. It's like that next dimension of music that I think is the future. It's like how people interact with music. It's how music interacts with them. It's how, music is made from things that would normally not be considered, instruments, generative music. If you've seen
True.
the coding music, for instance, if you've seen that sort of stuff where people just write lines of code and the code just triggers MIDI and they do it in real time. There's artists like Daru who do it, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
At least
it's fucking crazy.
real crazy. So and then you get things like the Richie Houghton would do some of his shows where he would have like that cube or something like that, and have the audience interact with this cube that somehow like was like almost like a social media sort of thing where they could communicate with like people at other shows or something like that. And that stuff's so interesting. Have you ever heard of the Gray Area Festival by any chance?
No.
It's in San Francisco, and it's kind of an intersection between media like that, like interactive experiences like that, and music. And they bring us really cool acts. I went there one year and they brought. Are you familiar with Rival Consoles?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites personally. Take a lot of influence from him.
Really cool shit.
Yeah. Very mind-bending music that it's most of it's so unconventional in a lot of ways. Like you listen to his mixes, and they're great mixes, but but in like most music, you would never mix your like bass pad to sound like that. To keep it
True.
that part in the mix, and you're like he's one of those artists where I hear him and I'm like. And then I hear people conventionally talk about mixes or something like that. I'm like, but rival consoles, and
Dude, true.
and it's like that stuff sounds crazy on systems. But anyways,
True.
this place, great area festival. People should check that out when things get going again. It's in the Mission District of San Francisco, and they had like all these interesting like gamified things where you would like interact in VR with like certain scenarios, and yeah, it was pretty wild.
I mean, dude, truly, like, I mean, we talk about this shit all the time. Is myself and Minus is, and Andrew now and stuff too. Is like, especially right now, with everything going on, it's like, how do you create experiences under the circumstances? And yeah, of course, there's like right now there's limited ways and stuff to do live events and things, right? And there's certain areas in that which are kind of you can kind of start to innovate things that you wouldn't be able to do or maybe get away with as much or be able to experiment with that you can do now because of the way that things have to be administered. But then outside of say in-person shows, like how do you create experiences like that are interactive or that are more in depth or that tell a story or that interact, I said that again, but like interact with fans, but using technology, especially that's like the coolest thing like about right now is technology's fucking just at a really crazy fucking level. Like, and I mean like I grew up loving computers, like that was just like, but it was like, I mean, from when I was like,
Me too.
yeah, like 11 or 12 and shit, and to now, just the things that we can do is it allows for so much, like another new form, like you said, of creativity, like just how synthesizing music in these different ways, and and especially of like being able to tap into musical potential of the world around us in a different way. I mean, from like the plants to
Sampling.
the to sampling to
Yeah.
just what you can do with like those samples, like how you can ASMR type mics that you can fucking put on trees and hit them and get all these crazy sounds and all that kind of shit, to just like,
Have you seen binaural headphones and binaural microphones where you can put them in your ear and it creates a perfect stereo field of your ears, and you can just wear them like headphones like this? Max Cooper uses them all the time, and he'll like walk through construction sites and pick up sounds from construction sites with the exact stereo field that he hears in his ears.
Oh shit, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, so binaural headphones.
I'm gonna write that down too. I just got this. It's been writing things down. Let's see.
Yeah,
dude. I mean, fucking. There's a couple of these like binaural beats pieces of audio that I got, like this gamma wave one, and they were done by fucking it was Aubrey Marcus, and who the fuck was the musician?
Like Max Richter or something, or Tim Exile or something.
Right, it was shit, hold on, let me.
Oh, it's Ben Jordan.
Fucking probably. If it was I would have remembered. Fuck, it was. What is this dude's name? Well, okay, this is the whole. They talk about how it works, but they made this shit. Where the fuck? Oh my gosh, I'm actually like.
Well, I spent like 5 minutes setting up a YouTube video, so we can wait.
With Corey Allen, that's who it was.
Corey Allen, why does that name sound familiar?
So he has a podcast and that he does. He's really known for now, and he wrote a book and shit. But he also did a lot of stuff with music, which I didn't realize until after I realized it was him that did this. But they created these proper binaural beats that actually go to the waves and do all these things, like and go to like raise you to gamma rays, and like it's like 30 minutes. Yeah. And I've like, that shit's amazing because I will put that shit on and like dude, it's it is crazy. It's like trance mode, but like I do it when I'm working, like on design and stuff, and so I'm always at my computer, but like I'll sit there and put that shit on. If especially sometimes I'll listen to music and I can find a groove there, but if I can't find a groove and music is distracting, then I'll put that shit on, and it's like I will go into the trance and like I put on like a 25-minute timer, and then like when that shit hits, like I'm always like, holy fuck, like I just went into this fucking like flow state style, just and that's what it's for. And it's like it's crazy how that shit works. It's mind boggling. Like I didn't I didn't really believe it at first, like, and then I was just started realizing that I was just getting in these crazy trances that like I would just focus and like vroom, and get shit done, and then like kind of come out of it and be like, whoa, I definitely went somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
so it's
There's
that shit is just like
there's this one that I'll always remember, mainly because of the way it's described was always really profound to me. And I don't remember who told me it. Actually, I remember where I read it. I don't remember the name of the book, but it's a weird source. It was some management consultant for like, high-end business people, to make them more productive, and some like management consultant genius. So definitely not a guy who wears wears monk robes in an ashram or anything like that, and does like vinyasa or whatever it is, or whatever the one where you sit there for 7 days in silence is. I know he doesn't strike me as a guy who does that sort of stuff, but one of the things that he mentioned was how when you are in REM sleep, you're producing alpha waves, and those alpha waves are what that REM sleep is what kind of like defragments your brain, puts everything in its proper place, just like you would on a PC hard drive, back in the day where you had like auto defrag things. It's something very similar to that, what REM sleep does, and that's done by alpha waves. And he's like, if you need to produce alpha waves and aren't sleeping, there's a meditative technique that you could do for this. And the way that you do it is you close your eyes, and what you think of is you're listening for a train in the distance. All right, just a train that's approaching you in the distance, and you're listening to it, and you're waiting for that train. But at the same time, you have to know that that train will never arrive. So you close your eyes and you just think about that, like that situation where you're listening for a train and you're waiting for that train, but you also know in your mind that that train will never arrive. And I think it works. I'll do it, and I don't know if it's like a psychosomatic like placebo thing, but I'll actually feel my eyes start twitching and moving around. Maybe they're doing something, maybe I'm bullshitting myself, but either which way, it's creating that essentially that feedback, that neurofeedback, I guess, in a lot of ways, that even if it is a placebo effect, it is training my brain to think that's what I want at that moment. I'm looking for this rapid eye movement, and I'm looking for that sort of thing, and apparently that does produce alpha waves.
That's crazy. That makes sense. They say that same phrase in fucking Inception.
Do that.
That he says that like in
this
the
is
movie.
way before Inception. This is an old book.
Yeah, so. I'm just saying. I'm sure that's where they got it from. Like that, they say that. That I remember. I was like, why does that sound familiar? I was like, oh yeah, it's from. I heard it in the movie, but obviously they got it from that because that they were talking about that shit when they would fall asleep or like go into that next state. So that totally makes sense why they did that or why they pulled that from there. I was always wondering. I was like, what the fuck is the point of the story? And then like when they would talk about that, I just made the connection. But
yeah. I don't know if the train actually. I think it's actually. Yeah, no, it is a train. Yeah, the train is what it is in this one. I always think it's either that or a bell. Like you're listening for a bell that's going. I think it might have phrased it. You're listening for a bell that's going to ring, but it's never actually going to ring. So you're anticipating a bell that never rings. So it's
that would
one
give
of the
me
two.
anxiety.
Yeah. I don't think it's that one. I think it's a train. It's a train in the distance, and you're anticipating the train, but you must know that, and you're listening for that train, but you must know that that train will never arrive, and that is the mind hack, apparently. That produces alpha waves in the brain, which is what the brain produces during REM.
I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, and I'll do it sometimes. And I think I've seen results with it when like early on, before I kind of, sometimes I'll psych myself out with things and start overthinking things, like what I just explained, where it's like, is it just in my head? Is it just a placebo? Like I've done that to myself with Adderall, for instance,
Oh
where
yeah.
people were always like, you know, Adderall makes you super productive. And I remember thinking, does it just make me super productive because everyone says it's going to make me super productive? So I buy into the stereotype that it makes me super productive, but it's really not, because it's just a construction of, you know, my reality, and then the heightened dopamine, which gives me the energy in order to succumb to be more, you know, persuaded of that reality, because that's the case. You're easier persuaded when your dopamine's up. And then I was like, shit, and now I can't concentrate on Adderall. I fucking hate the stuff. Like, it does not make me concentrate at all. It makes me loopy, and I can't concentrate on anything. And yeah, so I don't take it. Even though it used to get me through so many nights in college, and then I took one too many psych classes in college, and next thing you know, I'm psyching myself out of the productivity of Adderall. So, you know, I think I might have done that with the bell thing, but I remember this one time when I was or the train thing, because I remember this one time when I was like, I had to get up for work at like 4 a.m. or something like that to go set up like a farmer's market stand, I think it was. You know, I just stayed up all night instead, because my sleep was all on whack at that point. And in order to like, get like the rest right before I went, I just sat on like the bike path, and I did that, and I was fine for the rest of the day, because I did it for like 20 minutes and I was fine for the rest of the day. Yeah. So, and I was like a mess before that. So I think there's something to be said about it.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. I mean, I feel like too, like because the only times I've like that I've used Adderall was like when we do long trips in the van, because like taking
Do you
that.
fall asleep?
But yeah, like it would help you like when you're driving, like especially
Uh-huh.
if like in like 3 a.m. and it's dark as fuck and it's gonna be, and you know you're driving and like you just gotta want to be able to focus and relax. Like it helped me like relax and focus and have the energy, and that was great for driving, because like even like sometimes I would just try, like be like drinking energy drinks or something, and it just wasn't working, and so that just sucked, because then you just feel all jittery but you're tired still. And so Adderall was like the one thing that was like a blessing, because it would kick in and like I felt like I would just like ramp up, like, oh shit, here we go, and like I could just listen to the music and focus, or like talk to Nate or like whatever, and we'd be fine. Like it was, I could get through hours, and it was like that was like like that shit probably saved our lives, like no joke, because there was times where like we're two of us driving back from a festival and shit,
Mm-hmm.
like, and you know, like when we're vending out there, we're like vending during the day and then staying out all night because we want to experience the festival, so you sleep like a
Obviously.
fucking hour a night, and then by the last day you're just like, oh my god, we have to fucking drive back. And so that shit was like so nice to like be able to come through and help us,
Yeah.
like sweet, and like probably stay alive. But like, yeah, dude, that it was crazy because I could feel that part of it, but like I didn't feel like creative. I just felt focused. You
Yeah.
know,
Or
like I didn't
awake.
have, yeah, like I could
There's a
just,
difference between focus and awake, I think.
yeah,
You know,
true
you
that.
could be awake and not focused for sure. Like I think that's like mania in a lot of ways, is being awake but not necessarily focused.
Yeah.
And so I think that's because like when I had these problems with Adderall, it's not like, you know, I would be awake. Oh man, I wouldn't sleep the whole night. By the end of the night, like my fingers would, toes would just be cold, and I'd be awake. You know, it's,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
shit.
just the worst feeling ever. So you know, it's not like it's not like it got rid of the awareness part of it. It just got rid of the um, focus part of it, and I would find myself scatterbrained. And I remember my business partner like decided to test that on me, and I eventually succumbed to him. Like, you know what? Fine, fuck you. You want to see me on Adderall? Here you go. And he was like, man, you suck. Like, it's 5 hours later. I'm like, yeah, dude. Yeah, I do suck. I turned into just an awful, selfish human being who can't focus on anything. So don't, you know.
Right. I mean, shit, sometimes things can, end up having that adverse effect and flip around, like just you change physically and your body changes, and then like now something is just like, whoa, just not ever, or you do it enough times or use it enough times where it's, it now has an adverse effect or isn't the same anymore. You're kind of like, oh shit, there's definitely some things like that affected me so much differently when I was younger. And then if I tried them when I was older, it was like, nope, not the same, like not the same energy or whatever it was. And then it just made me feel like adverse, like the complete opposite of what I wanted to feel, with whatever. And so, weed's like the only thing that nowadays is like, I find a nice ground with it, but most other shit, unless it's
Same.
like, yeah, most other stuff is all out the window. And like,
I haven't done most other stuff in like 2 or 3 years, more or less. It's been just weed, and you don't even drink, which is amazing. But I don't really drink too much, but I still drink. And I sound like an alcoholic when I say that. I don't really drink that much, but I still drink. But no, really, I'm drinking right now. This is the first drink I've had in like a week. So
Sweet.
yeah. So I'm not much of. Nope, that's not true. I had one glass of wine after the debate.
I mean, I feel like, that, there was I smoked heavily after that. And just
that was
passed out to not be angry.
yeah, more or less. Let's not go down that route right now. Let's keep this positive. But I did actually drink for that. Come to think about it, that felt appropriate in a lot of ways. So it's like I've earned this. So
I needed this. This is a gift to myself.
Yeah. You just performed your civic duty by watching the debate.
Exactly.
Congratulations.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, you've
a good thing.
Yeah, you've taken a year. You're gonna need like at least the debate's length and neurofeedback therapy in order to get that back. So yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think there's like a lot of Have you seen like nootropics? Are you familiar with those? Or they're called like. I always call them nootropics because I think they're pronounced a little differently.
I think you're right. I've heard. Heard it called that.
Is it mootropics, like Moog? Nootropics, like No,
I think it's like nootropics is right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of that I'm familiar with a little bit of it, especially like there's like a couple of supplements and things I've fucked around with, just like Alpha Brain and stuff that are like that, and then like what's it?
Reishi, cordyceps.
Cordyceps and lion's mane and all that shit. And
I do that.
I just got the mud water, and it's like coffee, but it's like it's like good for you and not just like made out of coffee beans. It's made out of a bunch of mushrooms. And here, let's see. I haven't. One of my friends recommended it to me, but it's fucking like cacao, masala chai, turmeric, sea salt, cinnamon, lion's mane, reishi, cordyceps, and chaga. And it's 1/7 of the caffeine, but gives you the natural energy and focus and stuff, but like not all that caffeine blast.
Oh, that's amazing.
I say as I'm drinking a fucking coffee. But I want to try this because it's just like a much better alternative. I'm trying to like cut down my like caffeine consumption is usually like, it's gotten a lot better, but it's like at least like an energy drink or a coffee or something like that every day. And so I'm just like try to like slowly just wean off of that shit, but do it in a better way, but still have that, like be able to have like a coffee in the morning, but it's way fucking better and not just be crushing my body with caffeine consistently. The older I get, it's just
when it was
watch those things.
Absolutely my thing was right now all I'll do is just like green tea and weed, more or less, during the quarantine. During the pandemic, that theanine and caffeine is a pretty choice nootropic. But when I was needed more energy, or like I felt like I did, maybe I was bummed out or something like that, what I would do, my combination was cacao and rhodiola rosea. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
No.
But that's an interesting one because it's a serotonin and norepinephrine agonist, so it releases it. But it also had that's not no. It's an MAOI. It's a specific. It's an MAOI and an MAOI B. So it produces and retains norepinephrine and serotonin in your brain.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and and there's a good amount of research that backs that up now. It's also it's a flower from Siberia.
Oh shit. Whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty.
How
cool.
do you spell it?
RH. I'm gonna type it in. I can only spell when I type.
That's fine.
RHOD. It's a RHODIOLA. You got that?
RHOD.
IOLA. Rosea. ROESEA.
Okay, there we are.
There we are. So I would take that, and then I would take cacao. I could be screwing it up. Cacao could be the slight MBOI, and then this could be the release sort of thing, where it releases a little bit of norepinephrine and a little bit of serotonin. It's known as a adaptogen, as its nootropic designation.
Yeah, that's crazy how fucking beneficial cacao is.
Yeah, it has the highest concentration of bioflavonoids out of anything, more so than blueberries. Cacao.
Yeah, it's crazy that it was worshipped by the Mayans.
Yeah,
I was reading, and and the daily diet of the Aztecs. So it was just like, tastes as good as it makes. Yeah, true that. Tastes as good as it makes you feel. But yeah, that
I love cacao. I have this mushroom stuff over here as well that tastes almost exactly like cacao, but it's not, and people would swear it's cacao, and they eventually went on the record and like, yo, we advocate giving this to dogs. If it had cacao in it, that we would be fucked, is what they came out and said, because it just tastes like cacao. It's so good. But it's reishi, cordyceps, lion's mane, turkey tail, and then like some other ones that I'm drawing a blank on at the moment. Chaga is in it.
Yeah.
And then there's like one or two more that I'm blanking on. But that regimen, oh man, like I will, I'll never actually do this, but I could walk into a COVID ward and feel confident I'll be okay.
Yeah, right.
It's just pretty crazy.
Yeah, that shit's wild, but it's just like, oh, it's of the fucking earth. Of course, like, why wouldn't those things have amazing effects? Because it comes from what the fuck we're all fucking made of and a part of. Yeah, it's crazy, like all the shit that we go back to, like, so yeah, I've only recently been like really discovering and getting into a lot of this kind of stuff too, so I'm still very experimenting and checking out and trying a lot of shit, but a lot of them has absolutely been beneficial. I've noticed differences, especially that was definitely like, I did notice when I wouldn't take it, but it's also like expensive to maintain, so I kind of stopped it for now. But it was just but it's like it was dope, and so like I could definitely see it, but I was like, I don't want to get too on it and too like, or like too reliant on it, or something like that, and think I need it, and try it, and so it can go on and off, like the cycle things. But that was really cool. And then there's been a couple like drinks and things that and shit like that, or like mixtures or in tinctures or whatnot, that work really well, but or that have worked, or mess around. But I like to discover more of this kind of shit. And I mean, we have we'll do these like microdose mushroom chocolates with cacao. It's like pure cacao.
Oh, wow.
And then mushrooms in it, and like, but they're microdose, so they're only like 0.3.
Yeah. That
And
sounds amazing. That sounds perfect.
yeah,
The
and
cacao
it's
kind of rides out the mushroom in some way.
oh totally, you don't even taste it, and like yeah, and it's just like a very nice thing. And then like we'll do like 1 day on, 2 days off, like regimen. And so it's just it's been very interesting to like reconnect with mushrooms in that way, because like the only times before all this that I had done it when I was like younger and stuff was like just to like get fucking trippy. And so
Mm-hmm.
having a different relationship with it now on a microdose level, and letting, and like I now kind of get daily, it's like the same feeling, which would lightly happen as I would microdose. Like this, like there's certain feelings like when it would come on, it's really light, but I can notice it. But now like I notice those same areas opening up and things like that happening on it, like even when I'm not taking it. Like today it was very like, I was like, whoa, I feel like I'm doing a microdose but I'm not, as an off day. But it just like the same energy came up around the same times and stuff. So it seems like there's certain things that are kind of like training and getting to these parts of like a flow. It's weird. It sounds fucking weird, but like it really has helped me find and like settle into like a flow state, and instead of like being distracted on things. And because some days like I'm super all over the place, and other
Uh-huh.
days I'm like on it and can just knock shit out. And so trying to find out why, and then like settle into that type of energy. But the mushrooms have helped in
Mm-hmm.
that way, be able to like settle into more of that and find like a flow state with everything, which is cool. But it's not foolproof. It's just like it's helped. I've realized it's definitely helped. But yeah, that shit's crazy because it helps you just reconnect with different things that at once were used as like a way to get kind of fucked up and whatever, or just to like see some crazy shit. And now it's like intentional, but then you realize like the benefits of those things. But like once again, why not? It's of the fucking earth,
Mm-hmm.
like of course, like it's gonna provide things that we need, or don't need. Obviously some things
Yeah,
don't,
you don't
but
want to take night. You don't want to be eating nightshade. Probably not a good idea to eat tomato leaves.
no.
That sort
Yeah,
of stuff.
exactly. But at least, there's a lot of things that there's a reason why they do these things, right? Like there's a
Mhm.
purpose to them, whatever, how I don't want to get like super woo woo, but like there, all that stuff does have this purpose in the cycle of everything we're in. So it's just like those are the things that we should go to, essentially, in a way. Like I'm not condoning like go take mushrooms, just don't fucking please no one be like meh. But
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're
the
decriminalized in Denver, but yeah, don't do mushrooms
yeah,
unless
don't,
you're
I'm not
unless.
like, yeah, do your research on all the shit. Like there's so much like good shit out there research
Mhm.
wise about microdosing and doing a trip and proper like intentional plant medicine journeys, essentially.
Mhm.
And it's much less taboo now, so you can find a lot of writings and videos and stuff about
Uh-huh.
different things. But do that
But
kind of shit.
occasionally you get the CU kid who eats like a quarter and then they take their clothes off and climb the Flatirons, which happens like
Yeah,
once every 4
exactly. I
years.
mean,
They get stuck on
yeah.
the Flatirons, which I think
Well,
is the
because like
funniest thing ever.
we, that is pretty fucking ridiculous. But of course, right? Because it's like you don't realize the power of something like that, and it is fucking powerful. It's like it's essentially meant or seems to mean to like help you see things on this different level and solve things. But obviously if you any too much of anything is a poison, so then when you get to and I'm not saying that shit's not, it wasn't fun like getting me like whoa, every colors are changing and shit's wild, but it's like there gets to a point where if you can't remind yourself that like I'm under the influence of something, like
Mhm.
this isn't real. And
Mhm.
like being in a public setting, like I feel like if you're gonna do an intense, I mean, if you don't, I mean, obviously you're just partying and you're getting fucked up, then you don't care, or your mind's not in that space. But like
Mhm.
knowing the power of that shit, um
Yeah, you're distracted by the party, not your mind, which is probably a good thing in that circumstance.
yeah. And like but doing that in, say on your own or with yourself or with a trip partner or something, like you're at least able to have someone remind you of the space you're in and be in a different space. But when you're like out in the public and then you're tripping your fucking face off, then yeah, you're like seeing all this shit and you have no, you can't remind yourself where you're at, and you don't have anyone to like bring you back down to the world. Then yeah, I can definitely see how you can end up like losing it a little bit unless you have good control over your mind enough to be like, I'm on a substance or whatever, like, kind of anchor yourself. But when you're just fucked up and out in public with people, and then you on the flat irons. So.
Yeah. I hadn't done it in a while. Like I used to really be into dose, but not so much not at all anymore, because you eventually have that circumstance where where it's like, oh wow, this is beyond something that I can comprehend, that really just leveled myself, and I do not need that.
Yeah,
So.
definitely. I mean, I think too, like, well, okay, don't quote me on, well, I'm no scientist, but someone had told me that there's like two different kind
Neither
of
am I.
compounds with dose, because like with acid, because I noticed that in some of my adventures with them, sometimes it would be very heavy on the body, like heavy, like something is pulling me down heavy, and like things are very intense, overwhelming. And then sometimes it would be like airy and fluffy, but visually, but like floaty, and I could like function, right? There's
Yeah.
like two different, and like someone was like, there's different compounds, and that's one of the reasons, like one's more of this like very intense body heavy thing, and one's this floaty. And I was like, yeah, the floaty one is great because I can actually like function like a person, even though colors are changing and stuff. I can still like talk and like act and move and shit. Where this other one, like, I had gotten planted on the fucking couch, or I got planted on this bed I watched the whole Cosmo series because Neil deGrasse Tyson's voice was the only thing that would soothe me. Like, tried to listen to music, it was just like fucking sounded so wacky, and I was just like, nope. And so, but I couldn't move, like I couldn't really function. I was just like dang, like, but everything was so intense, like colors and all that, like, but just listening to his voice, and like I literally like fucking 9 hours of just listen and like eating and drinking and like chilling, and it was like too much. And I was like, this is not, like, that was a weird experience. And so, but then there's times where like I was like could be talking to people, like we were at fucking Sonic Boom, this is years and years and years ago, and like I was just like fully functioning, like totally aware, but everything was just like wildly changing colors, and everything was just wow, but like I felt into the world and everything was amazing. So it was just like, there's these different experiences on that, to where you're like, after that last one, it's been a while since I've really done it, because that was so fucking intense that I was like, hold up, like, I need to chill. And
I had the same thing, but my friends were having a great time on it, but eventually I just couldn't handle it anymore, and I just went off and did my own thing, and like, I just like ended up in a graveyard, and I'm like, whoa, this is weird. Okay. And it just got really dark. So I needed to get away from that for a while. But going to them being different things, it's hard to know, because like I remember I had this like really great stuff that I absolutely loved. It was like this liquid, and and it was just, at this point I was just like washing the bottle. At this point, jeez, this is so incriminating. No one's gonna care who's gonna watch this. You got a mask on. What do you care? But no, but there's but I guess it's too late now because I'm posting this. And so it was watching it, and this is at Beanstalk, and it was my friend's bachelor party, and I ended up giving it to him, the Bachelor, and while I'm off in La La Land running around seeing the Disco Biscuits drum and bass side project, just high off my tits, loving everything, he's in the RV just like in a corner thinking that the cops are coming to arrest him because of, I don't remember what, but he told me at some point even recently where he's like, yeah, I thought the cops were after me, so I was like hiding. And I'm like, we took the same stuff.
It's true. Like, it could depend, like, your mindset and the energy around you and your environment. Like, there was time, I don't know how I remember this so vividly, but I was like probably 20 or 21, and my friend and I will not say their name, just they may not want me to say it. We went to, this was back in the day, like Infected Mushroom at the church. It was like the live band at the church, and we had taken some, and I like was like I was seeing all kinds of crazy like patterns and all these things and just having a blast, not realizing that she had just gone off like and I had like spent a lot of time like in and out trying to find them and like seeing people I knew and then being lost in the music and like just having a ball. And then like the end of the night, I find them like downstairs in the church, like that lower floor in those like booth areas, like just in the corner, like just like not having a good time. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, what's going on? They were down there the whole time, like 3 hours, like
Oh, in
just
the
having a
basement of the
really bad
church.
trip.
Oh no,
Yeah,
that's a
and
horrible
like,
place to have it.
oh
It's like
yeah,
you're
and
next to the bathrooms, and you
oh
know,
dude, I was
and,
just like,
50 Cent's playing, and which I love 50 Cent, but you know
and
what I mean.
well, I think, and no, here's the thing: is it was like that's when it was like they was doing like the gothic music in that part of
Oh,
it, and so
oh
she
Jesus.
had to be succumb to like fucking just like industrial, like like just like like super pretty dark shit, and so like. I like industrial music, but it's
Me too.
pretty dark. It's it's
I don't
not
like it.
there's
I
not
don't
much
like it in
light.
a. I don't like it in a bad trip. That's for sure.
No, just like oh fuck. And so
Yeah.
yeah, and it was just like vastly different experiences just because of like where they were mentally and the
Hmm.
environment and stuff. And so yeah, like that can all have an effect and on
Cap Hill.
what exactly you're experiencing.
Cap Hill is a horrible place to have a bad trip.
Dude.
I don't really. I've never experienced because I lived in, I've lived in Denver for a little while, but I lived in Boulder for most of the time. I'm actually in New York right now, but I'm normally in Denver.
Oh
But
shit, I didn't know that.
oh yeah, surprise. I'm in New York ever since the pandemic started because I was in Mexico and didn't want to go back to Denver because I was like, that just sounds like overpopulated hell. I'd rather go to the cow town where I'm from,
Yeah,
where
shit, I don't
where
blame
there's
you.
no people. And that's better than being in Mexico where we didn't know if the borders were getting shut down or anything at that
Oh
point.
yeah,
So
fucking true that.
it was
Yeah.
it was harrowing. So I came here. But what was I going to say? Uh, Cap Hill. Yeah, you don't like you walk around Cap Hill and that's just there's not good vibes in some part, like bad vibes there. Like
Yeah,
some parts are really cool but then you run to the bad vibe and you're like, oh geez, you
dude, yeah.
in a normal sense, like you can totally process it because that's just reality. But you feel that you like. I feel like you like feel the strife on Cap Hill,
Fuck
especially
yeah.
on I've heard people call it like God's Row with the church and the clubs and
Yeah, it
everything.
is. And oh, dude, yeah. I lived in Cap Hill when I was like first moved to Denver when I was 18 and lived on like Washington and 12th and it was like this little studio
Yeah,
and did that for a minute. And yeah, dude, like
10th in Washington.
yeah, it was 12th
Yeah,
and Washington. Yep. So
yeah,
dude, it was right up. I was right up from you.
yeah.
And
Even closer
and
to the shittiness.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it was like there was like this weird methed out couple that lived down the hall from me. They were super nice, but they were always arguing and fucked up at weird times and shit. And like all this like weird little things, just super weird energy. But when you're down there, you can feel that shit. And then when all of your receptors are more open and you're receiving on this different level when you're on like under the influence of of acid or mushrooms or something, like
anything. Yeah,
yeah, you're now like and now even more receptive to this energy. So you're just feeling this like wildly kind of dark shit and that can just very much alter where what your feet like what you're then gonna now start seeing or putting out because that energy is just like harsh. It's harsh, it sucks, it's sad, like you're like fuck, I don't want these people to feel this. But yeah, you especially feel that. Like I had a trip like that, not a bad trip, but just like
you just
feeling into a lot of that energy. And you're like, whoa, this is fucking intense. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if I want to be. I can't. I gotta go back to my room.
Yeah. I need to be. Broadway's a weird spot for that.
Oh God, dude.
Sure.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
hear,
And
hear,
unfortunately, it's gotten worse.
oh, it's
So
just yeah. I haven't been there, but I've been hearing
sucks.
stories that
Sad as fuck, man.
yeah,
It sucks.
13th in Washington, or whatever it is near that church, St. Thomas, or whatever it is, St. Thomas Aquinas, I think is what it is. They have, I guess there's like a homeless camp there now. It was kind of building up like right around the time I went to Mexico, but it like got exacerbated because
Yeah,
all the
there's a couple
services
of
shut
those.
down.
Yeah, and there's just not a lot happening because so much of those services shut down. And so then, I mean, I don't blame them, like shit. Yeah, and you have to all now have to only rely on a couple places that are open because everything else shut their doors that normally help. And there's and shit like that. So it's just like, whoa, it is crazy. It's crazy to like see that build up, because like I had seen it in like out in San Francisco when I have a friend out there. And
Oh yeah,
yeah, and like experience
yeah.
on that, and then you come back here and you start to see like just very similar those like just tent camps and stuff and like that, like tent cities, and you're just like, oh shit, like it's not just a thing of it was in California. It's like, no, it's fucking like right here now, which is just a testament to how well we're doing as humans. Like fuck,
Hmm.
there's still a lot of that, which is always just like heartbreaking to fucking see that
It
shit,
is
like
because you
and
can't
feel
afford a spot in Denver. Like you can. I mean, we do
it's
obviously, but not everyone can.
no,
It's.
I mean, I couldn't do it by myself when I first
Mhm.
was 18 and living in here. Like I could afford it, and then, but it's like now I'm fucking 33 and I can't fucking I mean, I live in a house with 3 other people, and like we're not downtown definitely and shit and all of that kind of stuff. Like I wouldn't be able to live by myself anywhere around here. Like
Yeah.
there's just no fucking way, not right now, especially
No,
with
definitely
everything
not.
being so slow and nothing, no event or after hours, anything, like shit like
Hmm.
that where you were once at least like, okay, this is decent, like this can help build, and now you're like, meh, and having to beg people, not beg, but just like ask constantly for people to
Yeah.
donate and stuff through live streams and shit. I've just gotten like how to get over
Has
that
that
and
has that
kind of,
worked out? How's that been? Are people pretty cool about
yeah, I
donating to
mean,
live streams?
let's just say like I haven't really started asking much until recently just because I just had such
Uh-huh.
a stigma around it.
Uh-huh.
I don't mind asking other people to donate. So like there's like Impact here in Denver. There's like Travis Smith has like a really dope organization helping with like all kinds of things. From they have like the clothing store for the homeless that's like all free clothing for people that are homeless that need it, and like it's all
Uh-huh.
donation. They do all this really cool shit. It's like I love telling people to go like there, but like asking
Uh-huh.
people, I had to get over it. Like I just but I've only recently been like, hey, please donate to the artist tonight. Please do this. Like, and because I realized that so many other people that I would watch, like streaming, like producers and DJs and whatever, were doing the same shit, and I wasn't upset about it, but I just kept
Uh-huh.
in my head being like, fuck, I can't hate asking for that, but it's like you kind of have to right now, But it's just like it's hard, it gets in your head sometimes. Like, oh, I hate being like, hey, please donate, but it's like, people sometimes you get lots of like surprise things and stuff, and that's just really cool because anything is helpful, and then especially right now when you're just like there's unless we're selling some music, which is rare, and unless you're getting millions of Spotify plays, music is definitely not doing as much, but there are people that still support it, which is fucking
Hmm.
amazing. But then there's just other ways of people like, oh, I've got $10, here you go, like thank you, like well, and shit like that. So now I'm trying to like gamify those types of things to where like people are
Gamify.
involved, yeah, and like make it more of a game. Like I've seen a lot of streamers and stuff, like producers and stuff do that kind of stuff where they have like even Desert Hearts is really good with it and shit too, where they've got like their subs gold bar and like their donations bar and stuff, and like it shows if someone donates, like boom, and just like honors people
Shows
for
their
doing,
name. Yeah. Like
yeah, and
Beatport did
shit
it
like
too.
that. Yeah, and then they're like, oh hey, we're trying to like in the next week we're trying to get to this many subs. Like it just, they kind of make a game of it, but like in coming from my perspective, I always felt like weird doing that, but then I see so many people do it and I don't mind at all. So I'm like, okay, the same fucking shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just a way it's just a new way of doing things, and just a way that you have to kind of like be like, right now it's just all about like how can you just look at what other people have done in different realms, like fucking gamers, like streamers that do that games, would like apply those same principles and things to
Mm-hmm.
music, because there is other
Only
opportunities.
fans.
Yeah, I
Is
want,
for
I
music.
was like, I want to do OnlyFans, but it's just me doing like boring ass household chores and shit, like just fucking the dishes and like making a bed and shit. Like, yeah, so
Wholesome.
that's
Yeah,
yeah.
it's only fans are getting a wife.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, what are you watching? Well, whose OnlyFans you subscribe to? Like, look at this dude. He's just doing the fucking dishes right now. Like, this is great. And it's like, she's like, what the fuck? Like, yeah. So it's it's wholesome
Oh, that's
entertainment.
wow. That's actually kind of hot.
Right?
He's got a
It's like, what
huge.
is
This guy's
right?
got a huge spoon.
Exactly. So we just gotta innovate out there nowadays, especially right now. But I think like that was been a thing that I had to just be like, all right, just fucking get over it. And the
Mhm.
people that if they are offended, oh well, people that can support can. If they can't, no obligation. But it's just like you just gotta ask and remind people.
Mhm.
Just the same way with like social media, you gotta be like, yo, please share this if you enjoy it and shit like that. And
Uh-huh.
some people think like no, I can't do that, but it's like statistically proven that like 40% more like people 40% more respond are more likely to like do
Share
the
if you
thing you
ask.
ask them. Yeah, but you just need to do the action of fucking asking, and like they
Mhm.
study all that through social media and stuff. And so it's like, yeah, like you think like I don't need to do that. Someone will share it if they want to. And it's like, no, sometimes you
No,
like fucking share this if you like it.
no.
Like, oh, I like it. I'll share it. Thank you for reminding me. Like, because there's so much people are consuming so much, there's so much shit, just blah blah blah, that it's like you gotta like give them the little incentives
Yeah.
and a little bit because they're like on to the next thing. So that's just where we're at. Fuck it. Like I
Yeah,
don't
you
need
see
to.
it all the time on YouTube videos asking for it, and that's just a culture.
Yeah.
Like if you like this, like click the little bell and subscribe. They do that.
Yeah.
Like all
Yeah.
YouTubers do that, but that doesn't seem to translate onto like Facebook, for instance, when we should be like, hey, if you actually watch this and like it, can you just click the thing so Facebook's algorithm says that this is cool? Because if you watch that and don't click that and you like it, Facebook's gonna think it sucked and they're
Yeah.
actually going to penalize me for it. And I think we have to explain that, sometimes, where
Yeah,
it's
that
like, look,
education.
if you, I don't know how to say it because you have to say it shortly. Maybe it's like,
Yeah.
like it if you actually liked it, sort of thing, just simply saying that. But, sometimes I feel the need to be like, look, everything's algorithmic. It's Facebook. If you don't like that thing and you watched it, Facebook's going to say that you didn't like that is what they're
Yeah.
going to say. Even though you could have loved that, but if you don't click like, then you're doing that a disservice, and no one else is going to see that. And I see that,
True.
and you see that as you monitor Facebook pages and Instagram posts and stuff like that, and you see those numbers, and you're like, okay, so this piece of content, like this blog post I reposted, it got 14 engagements and it reached 123 people. Why did no one click like?
Right.
And you're like,
True.
and you're like, well, fuck you, like click goddamn like so more people could read this. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude, that's that fucking, endless engagement game too. It's always like, all right, fucking just do the thing, please, thank you.
yeah,
Like just so yeah, it does. But yeah, you just gotta remind 'em, like it makes sense, like just the same way YouTubers do it, just like that logic across the board. Be like, hey, if you like this, please share it with someone or blah blah blah. Like, and that would like, okay, cool, and then more likely to do it. It's crazy, it's wild, it's a weird mental thing, but it's like fucking works.
yeah,
So it's just getting to the habit of being like, fuck it, it's something that works. It's not hurting anyone. You just got to do it and get over that like ego thing of essentially being like, man, people might be mad that I'm like, man,
yeah,
like for real, like no one, if
yeah.
they are, then fuck it, fuck them. But
I mean,
like,
it's 21st century busking in some ways, and
right.
you're busking for engagement. Your social
Yep.
media page is your corner up, is your small little is your acoustic guitar, and
Yeah.
and you being logged into your page and posting content is you playing the acoustic guitar. You got to put out your coin jar, and you got to incentivize people to put things in the coin jar. No one's gonna put shit in the coin jar.
Yep.
So
True that.
you gotta figure out a way to get people in front of the person who's gonna put money in the coin jar to put money in the coin jar. It's the same thing. Like you see, like I'm always very interested in social psychology. It's like the thing I'm probably the most interested in as far as like an academic thing goes.
Yeah.
And I'll watch and I always watch buskers, and just I'll put money in there sometimes, but from a distance, more or less, and just like watch what will happen when someone put money in, and then someone else will be like, oh yeah, I need to put money in, and they'll put money in. And if you see one person put money in, there's a good chance that like one of the next people who saw you do that is going to put money in as well. It's just,
Yeah.
how it is. It's like when people ring the tip bell at a sandwich shop or something like that, because they got a tip. Most likely that next person's going to put a tip in because they rung the fucking bell.
Yeah, they don't want the bell to be silent, and then everyone's like, "Oh, that guy did not tip because they did not ring the bell."
They did not ring the
shit.
Shit.
Yeah, that's like that same shit where like when you have like a donation jar or anything like that, you just put a little bit of something in there so it's not empty. So people even just like a couple dollars or whatever, and like a 5 and a couple ones and like whatever, and then that way people are like, oh yeah, someone else has done it, and it's not like I'm the first one, like there always will be someone, but the psychology behind that is like people will just be way more actually to do it. And it's the same with like if there's like someone on the corner like or something that's asking needing money, and someone gives them money and someone behind them sees it, and they're more likely to do that or like look for change or whatever, and continue because people see that, and it like brings up a good feeling. Oh, they're helping them, that's nice of them, like, oh shit, like maybe I can help them. Hey, like and like it just starts that chain. So like it could, it can be used for like good as well. It's like it's like it can almost seem like, oh, you're taking advantage, but it's like there's good things that it can be used for too, not just like the tip jar thing that just helps incentivize people to give more tips, or like you said, the bell thing. It's just it's like kind of incentive, it becomes a game almost, because you're like, oh, the bell's gonna ring, and this like these little tiny things that are interactive and also help in a way to get some more revenue. Like,
I mean, yeah, there's something. It's not, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that, and people got to survive, and as long as it's it's the idea of, I think it's just called nudging, is like the ethical persuasion. It's like behavioral economics is like they call it a nudge, and they use it in like hospitals and stuff like that to get people to fill out forms correctly, and that sort of stuff. So things are triaged faster and all that sort of stuff. It's like good. Those are good things. But then you get
true.
the opposite side of that, which is the not good things, where civic engineers will design things in parks to be a certain way so homeless people can't sleep on them, and just shady crap
and
like
then
that.
they like play opera music to try and
oh god
them, and like just like
I hate that garage.
You know exactly what fucking garage.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, the opera garage. It's the same garage. Fucking yeah.
We need to make a
ladies.
fucking sign and go just like we paste it on there like opera garage.
You gotta. When you're playing vinyl here soon, right?
Yeah, this Sunday.
You should just go and figure like Shazam the opera song that plays in there, and just open the set with that song, so everyone gets really confused, so they don't know it's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm down. I'll be like, be one of those things
so
that just gives me can't come up with the fucking idea. Like, damn it won't even tell me what opera track this is. Just get the fucking no result, and you're like, no, come on, Shazam, you should know this fucking classic.
Yeah, exactly. You should absolutely know this classic. You've kept many people awake.
It's crazy that I don't know. I haven't tried to sleep to opera, but I'm like, I don't mind it. I don't find it repulsive. Like if it was like some fucking, there's not much music I find repulsive unless it's like really bad. But like, I feel like there's worse things they could play. But it's just like, I guess psychologically, and studies have shown that works. Because I remember I heard that at some places. Was it in San Francisco, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Some other places too. I was like, oh shit, that's why they're playing fucking opera. Like, and it's like, but like, I don't mind it. It's not like terrible. You're like, I can some like crazy voice shit going on right now, and some of it's pretty catchy, and I don't know what they're saying, so like I'm not really able to analyze the lyrics. So then I'm just more listening as musicality, which is the music. They're all fucking musicians, talented as shit. It's not like there's just some like amateur ass punk rockers or something like trying to do it. So it's all like very talented people. So in that way, but I guess for whatever reason, like some people fucking hate it. But I feel like after a while, you're just like, fuck it, I don't care. You just get used to it, and then you just
I
attune
would.
yourself to it, and then yeah.
It's the same
And just
song
sleep.
over and over again. It's not like it's an opera playlist. It's the same song.
Oh, it is
Like
the same song.
it's the
Okay, that
same
makes
song
sense.
over and over.
I guess I haven't paid attention enough to.
Yeah, I used to
to
walk by
realize
there
that.
all the time. It's not like I was going to vinyl too much. Like it's not my favorite place to go by any means personally. But you know, I'd always go. I used to live, you know, Penn, Washington, so you know,
Oh,
go
yeah,
down there
just-
to Torchy's or you know whatever down, and you know, there's so many reasons I would go down that way. You know, I would go to you know obviously Milk Bar, Bar Standard, and stuff like that, but not too much to vinyl or anything on that side of the street. And yeah, there was, you know, so I think it's the same song over and over again. I'm pretty convinced.
It makes sense. It's on fucking repeat because they're not gonna be like, here's our favorite opera hits that we're gonna play for you, so you
curated.
yeah, specially curated opera playlist to fucking keep your ass like off of our property. Like, goddamn, you know, like that'd become a funny Spotify playlist. Like,
That would be a spot.
So
Yeah, stay out of my parking garage.
Stay on my parking garage, opera garage, the opera garage, like 42 handcrafted opera classics.
yeah. If you've heard of Pavarotti, you know, these are all the hits. It makes you know the Bocelli's greatest hits. But yeah, you know what I also think about the opera thing is that there's a certain high level society thing that goes along with it, so you can get away blasting that out into public rather than you can't get away blasting out metal into public and all that.
No, they'd be like,
get away with opera because it's high art.
Yeah, definitely some fucking highbrow shit, like sophisticated, just because of how it's, you know, viewed and like and what it was always for the longest time, you know, was the upper class. And so I feel like if it was some other kind of music, then that would be the fucking, you know, if it could but opera was the one that made it in to the highbrow.
Did you ever read How Music Works, David Byrne's book? Do you have that one?
No.
Oh man, that one's the best as far as I'm
concerned. I'm gonna write that one down.
Yeah, How Music Works by David Byrne. And it's that's what it's about. It's how music works on all ends of it, from how it starts with how music evolved to fit spaces, and you know that's how it, and that's what the whole first chapter is on, and then the final chapter is on how to build a scene is what the final chapter is on, and then everything in between is like you know, it's David Byrne talking about it, and he interviews a bunch of great people, but everything in between is everything from like how music business works to how analog digital, like what the difference between that is and how that works and how that evolved and how that evolved the scene. And then it also talks about how, you know, how art is funded. That was a big part of it. So they talked about what we were just talking about, highbrow art and, you know, all that sort of stuff. And, you know, how, and like how those institutions will survive, but, you know, like a bar that birthed like punk rock will get shuttered or something like that, even though they had just as much cultural impact, but the perception and just like how foundations work towards it and everything. And I believe you talked about like how that's kind of changing and everything, but you know,
that's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read that. Check it out.
It's amazing. It's like it's the most entertaining textbook you'll ever read.
Fuck yeah, no, I'm excited for that. That would be great.
Yeah,
that sounds really interesting.
I read it and like I never read. I'm not much of a. I mean, I read a lot, but like it's hard for me to like finish an entire book.
Yeah, true that.
Especially ones that like dense with information, and I read this whole one in less than a week. So
sweet. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'll definitely check that out. That's on the list now.
Mm-hmm. And it's amazing. And he interviews like he provides a bunch of sources, and you know, that he interviews a bunch of people, and he'll you know, but then he'll also talk about his own experience because he's rich with it. You know, all the way from, you know, how they made like first multi-track like rock albums and stuff like that, him and Brian Eno, and just how they produced their stuff and how they would do, and how they like were one of the first artists to do like sampling, for instance, and like there's a different kind of sampling where they would have someone like record a loop like on guitar or something like that, you know, and then they would just loop that in a multi-track and fade things in and out. And apparently that was really novel for the time.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rad. I definitely want to read that. Like, fucking music for airports. Brian, you know, is like,
Oh yeah.
I used to like religiously fall asleep to that and listen to that on planes and like everywhere. Like there was just like this period, like when because I think I was in high school when someone told me about it, like my senior year or something, and or maybe it was right after that. But like I religiously took that album and listened to it all the time. I was just like, I don't know why, it was just like so. Just like I don't even know. I just like the way that it just made me just like between sleeping or just chilling out or just like feeling into this like interesting fucking energy. I don't know how to describe it, but it was crazy. So yeah, that dude and all the stuff that he's done, I only know a fraction of it, but things like
Same.
that are just like mind-boggling. Like that's fucking cool. And then I'm always like, man, why don't I think of stuff like that? But yeah, it's cool that.
Oh, ambient's great. The next thing I'm releasing is ambient. In a lot of respects because it's just.
I'll definitely want to hear that.
Yeah, I'm excited. November 10th. I've been sitting on these for a while, so we'll see what those are like. The first one is an ambient piece, and then the second part of it is like not so much ambient, but it has ambient tones, very ambient piece. It's more like, I guess it's more techno influence, but it's like techno IDM with ambient. It's like,
I love that shit.
Yeah, I would say I showed it to someone, and they said that it reminds them if Godspeed You Black Emperor made techno, and I'm like, all right, tight. That's
sick. I'm like,
I fucking love Godspeed You Black Emperor, and that's kind of exactly what I was thinking. So perfect.
Oh, that's fucking sweet. I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah, it should be cool. But anyways, I think what I was going to say about ambient is that have you heard Brian Eno's work with Robert Fripp, the guy from King Crimson? They make great ambient music together.
Really?
Robert Fripp on his own does really good ambient music.
I'm gonna write this.
And then Brian Eno, did you know that Brian Eno's protege, one of his proteges, is John Hopkins? If you're familiar with that guy's production.
Yes, yeah, dude, that guy's fucking bananas. Bananas.
Yeah.
I remember I heard
BANNAS. Bananas.
Yeah, I remember
Gwen Stefani.
For real, Gwen Stefani, bananas style.
Oh yeah.
I remember, I have it on a playlist. I wonder if I could find it, but there was this John Hopkins track. I'm gonna see if I can find it. And I remember it came up in just like, I think my SoundCloud discover this couple of years ago. And I remember I first heard it, and like, I think I listened to it like 150 times in a row. I was just like, it was just like the mood and the way it built and just everything. I was like, this is fucking crazy, and just like listened to it until I just couldn't listen to it. But like, dude, it was so good. It still is so good.
Probably off of Singularity, if it's 2 years ago.
Yep, I think it is.
If it was discovered, it might have been off of Immunity, which is my favorite John Hopkins album, but because they have similar. Was it kind of techno?
Yeah, it was like this like melodic, off like not fully
not 4/4 exactly.
Sort of. Oh, maybe it was fucking Singularity.
Is it?
Wait,
is
no,
it?
that was saved.
Is it? Because Neon Drum Pattern, one of the songs off of that album, is in
Emerald Rush.
Oh yeah, that one's Emerald Rush is the single.
Dude,
off of it. That's
wait,
dope song.
Yeah, because it like just like builds up for like. Wait, does that come through?
No, I think you got
good. No, that's cool. No, I didn't want it to be like playing as I'm like listening to it and like just being loud as fuck. So I can try and make it come through. But if anything, yeah, Emerald Rush is because like it builds up for like 2 minutes and like this beautiful just arpeggiators and all this shit, and then
I can hear it in my head. I know the song, and it's got like that
The way the drums kind of like they're
They
like a little bit
stutter.
off, and yeah, and then like that synth is a little bit like the attack is different, and then like it just and then it just so perfectly like chord changes, like, but it keeps the tension, like when songs just like can like hold this tension, and then they like slowly get you listen like next step, and then like resolve back again, and you're like, oh shit, but they like tease you with that tension for so long, and that song does it so well, where you're just like chugging with it, and all of a sudden it like builds the tension a little bit more, a little bit more, and then like resolves to this. It's like the chords were just perfect, and I was just like,
Yeah.
this is fucking crazy. Like I remember just listening to that song so much and like just being blown away. And so there's a lot of shit I realize he's released now that I'm on looking up his shit that I haven't fucking heard. So I need
Yeah,
to go.
that whole album's great. The only other techno album of his is the God, what the hell is it called? Immunity, which is my favorite of his.
Unity.
That's the one that came out in 2013, and that was a pivotal moment in electronic music for me, as far as what I understood electronic music could be. Because I remember looking into that album and just how he made it, and it might have stunted me in a lot of senses because it kept me in a really old DAW. But what he did is he built that whole Immunity album on like a 10-year-old version of Adobe Audition, and like a equally as old version of, it was either Cubase or Logic, I forget, but he actually had to run like a virtual PC in order to make it work.
What?
So because like he didn't have the computer that was originally designed for him, just so obsolete at this point, so he had to run like a virtual computer in order to do it. So he built this whole album almost similar to like how Burial did everything on Audacity and old Adobe Audition, and he built this.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah, so John Hopkins did that for this album more or less, but he used all hardware in order to like import the sound, so he didn't use many plugins. But he would do like crazy things to the room, like he would, if there was a kick drum, he would go and he would mic near the window or something like that in his studio, so he would pick up the vibration from the window shaking and put that on the kick drum, so he would like be able to so you can,
and
like,
this was like
hear
2014, huh?
Yeah, 2013, for
okay.
Immunity. And then everything before that is like, I don't know, he's all over the place. Like he did stuff with King Creosote, and that's like more soundtracky sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then like way before that, I guess he did stuff with the little before that. I didn't even know about this one. It's called Small Craft on a Milk Sea, and it's with Brian Eno and Leo Abrams. Leo Abrahams. I mean, I know who that is. And then the one that I knew before I knew Immunity was Insides, which is like an IDM album. And most of his stuff is from 2009 before. It's all like IDM sort of stuff.
Fuck yeah. Well, there's a lot of shit. I'm just looking at his SoundCloud too. I haven't even heard old stuff, new stuff. Shit from like 2013, maybe before that, damn. Yeah, there's all kinds of, I need to like, wow, this is an insane output.
Yeah, he's prodigious and very I don't know, he was one of those people where he was like he's genreless and he gets away with it.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that's fucking cool. That is like definitely my goal too. Is just, I like making all different kinds of shit, and I was stuck in that thought process where like, since I play a lot of house and stuff, that's what I had to make, and like, I like to make everything, and I need to release all kinds of different things because I can't just get pigeonholed and then release a bunch of house, and then everyone's like, it's just house, and then you release something else and they're like, what the fuck is this? And then so it's like, you gotta prime everyone and be like, let me make everything. So I think when artists can do that, it's like my favorite artists, like most of the time, when you just realize that they're just obviously do certain things really well, but then they can just go in all these different directions, and you're just like, sick, like this is amazing. And
it makes you appreciate them even more.
Fucking A, right? And this dude has so much fucking music. This is bananas. I feel like I've done nothing compared to fucking this. Is crazy.
Well, he's also like was sent into a piano conservatory when he was 12, so don't feel so bad.
No excuses.
No excuses. Yeah. Okay. There you go. There you go. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah. You step up your game, dude. What the fuck? Why don't you know Brian Eno? Why did you not help compose a Coldplay album?
Yeah, it's bullshit. I should have composed 12 Coldplay albums by now.
Yeah, you're
at
in
this
Denver.
rate.
You're in Denver. You got the Fray is in Denver. They're basically like Coldplay light. Why can't you just go meet them and make little sound samples for them?
Incredible ambient album with fucking the Fray that people are like, what is this? But then it's critically acclaimed, and then yeah, right. But yeah, I don't know why I'm not doing those things.
Yeah, I don't know. We all can't be so lucky, I guess. I always wonder about those stories, like, because you always watch interviews of, artists, and they just kind of downplay how they got to that point. But there's always like that one tipping point where they're like, yeah, I was, and they never really talk about this stuff where it's like, yeah, my cousin was actually friends with, Moody Man or something like that. And that's how I got really famous was, it was like my cousin, or like, I would always be hanging out with this one guy, and he went to school with Tomas from Daft Punk, and and we're hanging out one day, and I was like, and for some reason Tomas was like, yeah, man, play me one of your tracks in French, and 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 then they play the track or something like that, and there's always like that sort of thing, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what? And there's obviously like a lot of people who. And even like you never know who people are going to be, and it's always like that sort of thing. Like you get it in your marketing. True, like who knows going to watch your stream?
Yeah, like someone could stumble. Sorry, someone can stumble.
Oh, you're good.
I mean, just as like
we've been doing this for a while, you might be getting a little tired. So
there's artists that I stumble upon that. Or like a track even. I'm like, this track was amazing. And then you're like, oh, it came out fucking 6 years ago, but it's now just affecting me. Like that could be the same for, or like a Twitch channel or something or whatever that you stumble upon. And then you start to, now you instantly like resonate. It's like that could happen with anyone, like anyone can stumble across your shit, and it could resonate with them. It could be what they needed at the time. It could be unexpected or joyful in that way or whatever. And like, just by pure happenstance or by your marketing or by someone telling them or by whatever,
both,
a million ways. Yeah. Whatever ways that someone can stumble upon anything nowadays, especially, is like now, like, yeah, that could be fucking anyone. And if you now affect them in a way, like how you are affected by certain music, you realize like what you do when you like something, like especially when you first hear an artist you've never heard, or you discover a track and then you're like, I gotta know, and now I gotta tell people because like, holy shit, like this is, it's like that same effect happens for fucking everyone or most people. And so that could be your song, and yeah, that could be anyone that then sets you on the course or puts you on the course for this, or introduces you to this person. Because I mean, a lot of that is that like someone sees you or knows someone and gives a recommendation, and you get the thing, and then they're like you, and then that continues, and like, but you had to know the person to get on there, like, there's just always that shit. And
especially
it's like,
in art.
Yeah, exactly. Because like, I mean, and there's so many dope creators out there that
even in Denver, man, like, we listen to it, and there's so many DJs, and there's less producers, but there's still a lot of producers, and you're like,
still a lot,
and you're like, well, why aren't these guys playing? What's keeping them from doing anything? And, but it's really that thing that we just talked about. But the world is. I got to give an example about the world being small, especially nowadays. So, and when you never know who's looking at your stuff. So, especially during the pandemic, because everyone's home and, they're not doing as much. There's
consuming much more.
Yeah, you're not at galas and, and DJs are, not at shows. So they're on Instagram, building their Instagram following. And this is how they, so, before I tell my story, I had. Do you know Ben A of Moody Recordings?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he was on the last one with
tight.
Jonas, the Beatport guy.
Moody does some crazy, dude. They have they do great shit, man.
They do great shit. What's crazy about Moody? Shout out to Moody. What's crazy about Moody is that moody people don't play in Denver, even though the record label's here. But when was the last time you saw Ben A or
never,
JCO or Vedic or who have all been on Tool Room? When was the last time you saw them play bar standard?
Yeah, it's
it's weird. But anyways, he was saying how he like commented on Blondish's stuff, and then Blondish got back to him, and he was like, she would never do that in the past. But I had a similar thing that's like magnitudes crazier as far as I'm concerned. So I posted up. I like posting like vintage synth stuff on my profile, on my Instagram, and I don't know if you saw it, but I put this one up of Vangelis, and it was Vangelis playing the CS80 and explaining how the CS80 works, the Yamaha CS80, which was used to compose Blade Runner. Yeah, it's a really rare synth. Like it's like $30,000 if you can even find one. So good luck. So like you don't only have to have the money, you have to know where one is. That they're going to be departed. So I put one up and I was like, I wish I had $30,000 of dumb luck in order to have this, but instead I just got the Arturia plugin, and I'm just going to have to work with that and, hashtag CS80 or whatever. And so I get a response back, and it's this guy, and he's like, don't fret, I have a CS80 and I have the plugin, and they sound exactly the same. All you need to have is the Poly Aftertouch MIDI keyboard, and that's the thing that Vangelis is demonstrating in this video. The Poly Aftertouch keyboard is where you press the thing down harder and it changes like the timbre of the sound.
Shit.
So like vibrate, add like vibrato or something like that too, the more you press it down. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy who has a CS80? He's got a check mark next to his name and everything, and I click on it, and it's Pete Townshend from The Who has commented on my post.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
whoa.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, small world. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
So, you never know who's looking at your stuff. Like, I don't know if you listened to one of my songs. Probably not.
Right, you could have been like, who's this fucking dude? Yeah, exactly. But fuck, you never know.
Yeah.
And they might not even tell you. Like, that's the thing, too. People forget. Like, they think that, like, someone maybe didn't give them any response to their music or whatever they do, but they like were on there, they commented or whatever, started following them, because there's people that like will follow you and you're like, how the fuck? And like, but they say nothing, but it's like, it doesn't mean that they didn't go and listen to your stuff or check your art out or whatever. It doesn't mean that they're not now interested, even if they didn't say anything to you, even if they don't say anything to you. They've got their own lives. They're also fucking popular and people are trying to hit them up. And like, so it's like, you don't even like, he could be fucking listening to your music and you have no idea. Like the potential is limited, and it's like, it's easy to think in the reverse and be like, he didn't fucking listen to it, but it's like, but there's a 50-50 chance like that he did, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and now he likes your shit. He might not, but you might never know, but he just like sitting there jamming your shit, and like, which is cool to even think about that. That's like a potential thing. It's like, fuck yeah, Pete Townshend, this is my fucking music. Like, shit, yeah, why not? Because I'm, like, I think that is fucking cool. Yeah, that you're, that like you said, that those things are able to exist and to happen.
Yeah, and especially nowadays with the pandemic, because people are sitting around. This happened during the pandemic. Like, I put this post up during the pandemic. It was like
I think I saw it the other day, right? Was it like last week, or was this?
No, it's a different one. It's scroll.
Oh, okay.
If you, I don't know if you're on it, but like if you scroll down, it's like an orange. It's like an orange. It's like a. Here, I'll share screen it.
Oh yeah, duh.
We have the technology.
Oh yeah, there's the.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh shit! Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah, you see that? Isn't that crazy? Yeah, you're like in the flash.
Especially because it's fucking Jagger dang.
Yeah.
And like, so you don't know, and then you're like, oh motherfucking, the guitar. Wow.
Motherfucking Jagger dang right there, man. So yeah, split share, and I'll do the share sound. And like if I click, fucking go. It's loud. Is that loud for you? It's really loud.
Yeah, that was a bit loud.
Let's see if I can turn that down a little bit. Jesus Christ. Please move this way. All right, you can't really. I'm not gonna even mess with it. That freaked me out. But yeah, and there. Oh, where is it? Where is it? There it is. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
that's fucking crazy. Yeah, especially because it's like you're just like, oh, cool, and then yeah, you see the blue check, and you're like, wait, you're official. Who is this? And then
you have a CS80. Who the hell are you? Is what I
yeah, you have
originally
a
thought.
yeah, like, oh, it's cool. I have one, and the
Yeah,
latter is equally great. Yeah, dude, that's fucking wild.
yeah, yeah. I mean, not to. This is
And then
this is like a slight little brag on my part, but it's more to show if people are watching this, it's like, yo, put your energy out there. Like even coming onto things like this, you never know who watches
yeah,
this. You really don't know. Like
you don't. The
I
internet
have no idea.
has is if you choose to view technology and like the internet and those things in a positive light of like the things like that you're able to now like essentially accomplish in much quicker time or circumvent a lot of the gatekeeping and like all of these things like and you just believe in that too and like you said just keep putting yourself out there in those things like people will come to you, they'll resonate with you, and it may be a very slow build but like everything always builds up to a point and then it just like exponentially just fucking gains momentum, right? It's just and so it's like you just gotta just it's always like holding out for that shit, right? And then so it's like but you now have the potential to reach people that when the fuck else would like when else would that happen? Like now you've been able to like but now someone like now this person also knows about you, right? They like have they've interacted with you and yeah, dude, it's just like that there's just that potential is massive and like doesn't just the fact that that exists is like whoa.
Yeah, yeah,
It's rad.
and who knows who else that exists for too. You know, it's one of those
Yeah,
things.
and like sometimes like I don't do it religious like I don't do it all the time because like I just try not to like dive into like the validation of it but see who like watches your story sometimes
Uh huh.
especially sometimes like I'll have like a one that's got a lot of people and I'm like, oh, I wonder who's looking and then you see someone that's like a fairly large artist or someone you like and you're like and then they're like you would notice that they're looking at like all your story and you're like and then you're like a daily and you're like
Yeah.
oh, fuck like this person is like finding something in my shit that they like that they're coming back and maybe like and then sometimes they like start following you or sometimes they don't but they're just somehow
Mm-hmm.
fucking seeing your story constantly and watching it and you're just like oh shit like what
Maybe you're being scouted. You
yeah
never know.
or just like the fact that like you could be making an impact on this person with whatever you're putting out enough for them to come back enough for them these things and it's like if you're not putting those things out there for them to now enjoy and connect with you on then that would never fucking happen like that connection is not there
There's
so
a
it's just like yeah
there's a concept in psychology called the mere exposure effect. Um, and the idea is the more you're exposed to something, the more you recognize it, the more willing you are to respond to it. And you know, I've read about this in regards to promoting music specifically, and they'll say that if you want to get and not just music but just things in general, but if you want to like get attention to someone like an editor for a magazine or like an artist or like a DJ or a record label, just start commenting on their stuff sporadically. It doesn't have to be too in depth or anything, but if you do that enough, they're going to recognize your name. They might not know where it's from or anything, but it's in their head. And then you
yeah
send them a demo or you send them your pitch of some sort. And then they are more likely to be like, huh, that's a familiar name. And they click on it. And next thing you
yeah
know, they're watching your stuff. And,
yeah
you know,
and now and yeah like and they could just be watching you as you grow and then watching and then there's a point where they decide to reach out or not or like like or interact with some of the things you do or then connect with something you put out there where they're like this is actually super dope like the other stuff is cool but this is awesome I really and like and so that potential right there like and just keeping that in the back of your head because it's like you have to put it out there for people to connect with it and I say this not as someone that's like like this is someone I'm going through the same thing and reminding myself of the same shit that is very important and like those connections like you said commenting um right now actually this is like day 2 of it as I this dude Adam Ivy does like these like music marketing and stuff for independent musicians, but he does like all these YouTube videos, really good shit. But
Adam Ivy. Okay, I'll have to check
yeah,
him out. I'm always
yeah.
trying to find new ones.
Adam Ivy and Indepreneur, they both of those guys do some amazing music marketing stuff for independent musicians, and you can obviously translate that if you have a label to your artists and shit. But like I have learned,
Oh, I've seen this guy. Yeah. Okay.
yes, so he
Yeah, this
does
guy's good.
he does this like 20 days of focus challenge, and it's basically like he has this list of things as an artist that will help you grow organically your following on a specific platform. Like a lot of it's focused around Instagram, but you can just, he's like, pick one of a platform and then do these things, but like a lot of it's focused on that. So Instagram, like, and it's like these daily things, not only for just that, and then also as yourself as a musician. So what's cool is like he has you like find 5 targeted hashtags that are in the shit that you do, whether it's like house music producer or techno lovers or deep house this or whatever, or finding hashtags that are not super massive but have a decent following, so they have traction, but not too small, but like these things. And then like go search for them, look at the recent posts, and you go and comment like meaningful comments and things on certain posts, and just start showing this engagement. And then he has you like
Fire heart emoji.
yeah, like actually something. And when you do that, like, I mean, I've been doing it for 3 days now. This is about the third day, like third night, I guess. But it was like already immediately doing a lot of that, already seeing traction, engaging with people that way. And then like he has you do like 2 gratitude messages to people that follow you, so it helps you like show appreciation.
Yeah,
then,
I need to do that more.
Yeah,
I really need to do that.
And then like, and you're doing this every day, and then plus it's like 30 minutes of learning, and then like an hour of active music, uninterrupted music creation, just like different things to work on your building those connections and stuff, and like doing it consistently. And then also still being creative and documenting these things and whatnot. But like just in a couple of days of just reaching out and doing those 5x5s, those targeted hashtags with comments, like 5 comments per each hashtag, 5 hashtags, like, and it takes maybe like, I don't know, 30 minutes, and sometimes less. But like then people will start to, they see that you responded, you said something meaningful, then they respond, and then blah 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 in a conversation, and sometimes they'll follow you back, then sometimes other people see that and they'll check your stuff out. And it's just like, the idea though is you're connecting with other musicians or potential new fans or these different things in these different areas, but you're actively engaging. And then the engagement back is also training the algorithms to showing like, oh, people engage with you and you engage with them and blah blah blah. And so like there's this whole thing with it, but it's like it shows you just that little bit, like in the past couple of days, like has already yielded like so many interesting conversations and connections and things with other musicians and people now, that when I wasn't fucking doing it, we're just more stagnant. And you're just like, whoa. And if you think about it, if there's a couple people every day that respond back that you're engaging with, and then there's a couple people are now following you and now seeing what you're doing and interested, like, and then compounding over 20 days, as far as the challenge goes, that can continue after that. But I started it with an experiment with with the Dsqise alias, and then I'm gonna like do the same thing with the label and stuff like that. But you're just, now people are seeing your name and you're engaging. You're not just liking it and, like you said, just doing some emojis. And because that's a lot of times people just do fucking emojis. So if you give them just a sentence or two that's like meaningful, that shows that you just actually watched or listened or what the fuck ever, people are like, oh shit, this person gives a fuck. And then they come back and now they want to give a fuck about you. And like, that's just so much potential right there, to connect and grow. And so, that shit is like, it's, I don't know, it's beautiful. Like that's just cool. Like, it's cool that you're able to do that. And like you said, the potential now to reach so many people, it's just a little bit of extra effort. And it seems kind of like tedious, but like when you start finding the groove and you start doing it, and then you see the feedback loop, you're like, oh shit, like, and you start to realize like that's just what it takes just to create and network and build connections and build fans and stuff. Is like, in this world where everyone's so connected but disconnected, if you just give a little bit of extra effort, like, then it goes so far. You don't have to
It
do a
really
lot.
does.
And like, you know,
I've been doing the same thing for about month and a half now, I want to say.
yeah.
Really started internalizing that. And I've grown my Instagram 12% week in, week out for the
Dope.
last
See,
month and a half, which is, pretty
that's
damn impressive.
fresh, dude. Yeah,
12%.
12% gain.
But let me let you in a little secret, and anyone who's watching this, a little secret. I kind of hacked it in a way, and I don't really put that much effort into it. Like this
Hey,
is
dude,
this is so
automation.
this yeah, it is automation, and you don't want like spammy comments, but there are ways to automate things that seem heartfelt but are just totally automated. This is for
Yeah.
the lazy person. So I got this is free Instagram or free Chrome plugin that's called Instagram comment bot or something like that. I'm looking at it
Yeah.
right now. Instagram
I've seen
comment
it.
bot. And it's glitchy as hell. All right, there's paid things you can get that work way better than this, but this is free. All right, and it'll occasionally stop working, and it honestly really sucks, but it's free. All right, um, and I've used this to grow my thing, and basically, let's see if let me. I'm gonna bring it up actually. Share screen. Here we go. Screen share.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
do
So
this.
I don't know if you can see it on my
Yeah, I can.
screen. Do you see that thing right here? That's like this little scroll down. The thing I'm scrolling right now.
Yeah, yeah. I see
Yeah,
that.
the comment bot. Well, it's all. You'll see how glitchy it is, but it's not working really anymore. But when it was working, I was able to get all these different hashtags that I have in here, and these are the ones that I targeted. Where
Awesome.
techno, aphex twin, Denver music scene, psychedelic fashion, IDM synth, blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
what you do is let's create a bot really quickly. I like the share screen thing. I'm gonna do this more for more of these podcasts because this is like instructional.
Dude, yeah, share screen is educational as fuck. I fucking made all these little mini tutorial videos for people just sharing the screen and then voiceovering to like help like get them to like when we were doing all the streams for Burning Man and shit was helping people with that, and it was so great. It was just like it was magical.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and I think there's like this time during COVID, it's like encouraging people to do this because this is the best way to interact with people, really, and people have the time
Absolutely.
for it. So, anyways, like with this, you could change a range for how often it comments. I do 2 to 3 minutes. You can do comment counts up to 80. It like freezes randomly. I say the best thing to do is to like set it and don't touch your computer. Like just go somewhere else.
Right.
I'm pretty
Do it
sure you can
overnight.
actually still. Yeah, I do it overnight.
Yeah.
Which means probably most of my people are in Europe, but whatever. I'm cool with that. I love Europe. So
Exactly.
uh, but it really depends. Like you also get the people who wake up in the morning and they got a fresh comment, and then they like it. And obviously, and most of my growth has actually been out of Denver, apparently, so which is cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, anyways, you go and comment by tag. You type in a tag, blah 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 blah. So, techno producer, and then techno producer. But here's the thing. This is the hack right here. So this is the comment list. Mine has hearts on it, and that's the one that I generally use. So my other one was Happy 909 Day, and I got a Rival Consoles one I'm going to use for my release, where I follow hashtag Rival Consoles and say I love Rival Consoles over and over again, and and work really well.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, you go to the hearts one, and these are my comments. So infinite hearts, can't give this enough hearts, huge hearts, hearts times 10, deserves all the hearts, hearts for days. And you'd be surprised how many people respond to this. Like, I feel like I'm teaching a master class on how to fuck with people, but this is for people with no time or desire. Like I know a lot of people think social media is the fucking devil, which it is. This is
Depends
just
on how you use the tools, right? Like all depends on how you use the tools, because anything can be fucking anything can be evil or poison if it's used as such. But if you can
truth.
it's like discipline too, right? Like if you turn off your fucking notifications and shit like that, so you're not getting the fucking Pavlov's dog syndrome and shit, you know. But like, or maybe I just totally said that wrong.
No, you're right. No. It rings the bell, you salivate. It
Yeah,
rings the
you
notification.
know, so
It's
like,
literally a bell icon. It's so freaky.
right, well, right. Like I think that's probably where they fucking got that shit. They're
Yeah.
like, ooh, the bill. But you know, but it's true. But yeah, it's like I get what you're saying though. Like there's a lot of adverse reaction to social media, and I understand. Like if you engage in certain, it depends on how you use it. Because like if you engage in certain ways and you have a purpose with it, and you're doing things with the purpose of like, you know, your music or your art or whatever it is, or your business or whatever, or even you personally, you have a purpose set out for it, then you're engaging differently as opposed to just like consuming. You know, you're creating and engaging that way if it's meaningful, but it can absolutely become addicting and poisonous. Like you just have to, I think it's just like having that anchor and being aware of you and social media, right? And obviously kids, you don't teach, like kids, you gotta like, it's a whole different story. Like that's a whole different set of how you teach kids as opposed to being an adult and being able to like understand the awareness around it. Where kids, you know, it's a whole new world and a whole different set of rules essentially for them. So you have to like indoctrinate them properly, but if you don't, then they just get sucked into the machine. But that's kind of like with anything,
Quite
right?
literally.
Like it's
Yeah.
another form of drugs, or you know, like anything like that. Like it's just a different form of an addiction. If you're not aware of it, it can get out of hand regardless. But anyway,
I feel like it's
completely over there.
no, not at all. No, that's exactly where we were. I mean, it really is. I mean, but I guess the way I've been justifying in my head lately is I'm on social media a lot more now because of the pandemic and the fact that I'm not living in Denver right now. I'm kind of in Cowtown, so way more bored. That's why I started the podcast, you know, all that sort of stuff. I starting to see social media as a tool that I need to learn for like a professional
Yeah,
thing.
that's exactly.
You know, and you think about it like that, you know, and I only really work on my artist page. I don't really post things on my social media thing, you know, I don't really engage too much on the actual, like, my personal page, but it needs to exist as a conduit for all the other pages,
But yeah,
unfortunately.
you can't have the other ones.
Yeah, which is bullshit. But
I know, I tried that too.
yeah. Apparently you can, but if you've already set it up beforehand to do it this way, it's really hard to like switch it all over. So
gotcha.
and you risk destroying your accounts by migrating them. So I'm just
So
like,
they're like, yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna keep it because I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose my hard work. You know, it doesn't seem like a lot of followers, but that took a lot of time. Damn it. So,
fuck yeah, dude. It's like it's a fucking marathon, dude. It's a marathon.
It's a marathon for sure. Just little hacks like the automation. You know, you gotta, and you know, obviously you gotta eat your vegetables, as you say.
Oh yeah,
What,
dude.
when's that coming out?
Oh fuck.
Any or not at all or whatever.
You know, it's totally gonna come out. It's gonna be like a free fucking release. I'm still gonna distribute it because just have all these stupid ideas that stem from just having fun with this song. And like we were using Ovox because I had just gotten Ovox, and we were just sitting there, like a bunch of the sounds are made in Ovox, and then
what's Ovox?
That it's a voice synthesizer from it's fuck, who the fuck makes it? Why can't I think? It is Waves. It's a Waves plugin, and
I love Waves. Yeah,
it's just a really dope vocoder. But they just added so many layers to basically, instead of just being like a vocoder where you're like really hearing like some things are very vocody, you know, robotic Daft Punk sound. But then there's like all this stuff where like you can sit there and like do hum or like say or like rhythmically do stuff, and it sounds like a fucking like electronic bass. Like, and then you can tweak all these parameters and really dial in these sounds and get some fucking cool shit that maybe you're not going to be creating with that, and that you can just do with your voice. And so we were fucking with
looking
it,
for that. Whoa,
dude, it's dope. And it's like I got it on sale, like because they did like a sale earlier during the pandemic, and it was like $50, and I was like, yep. It's like $150, so it's not expensive, but like it was just super slashed, and I was like, yes. And so I got it, and I didn't install it for like a month. I just was like doing other shit and kind of whatever. And then I was like, I got this fucking thing. Why haven't I used it? And so Andrew came over and I was like, dude, I just started fucking around with it. And so we started writing a song and playing with all the parameters and different effects and making different sounds. And then I had like walked out of the room and was like loading a bowl or some shit. And all of a sudden he's just like, eat your vegetables. And like and then we were finding the right setting that made it come through. And then we're tweaking with certain parameters with it and shit and getting all these weird sounds. And like, it just came this whole thing. And like, it was definitely just because we were like just high and having fun, which is like, why not just have fun in the studio? And then I was like, we need to do a video, and we have our green screen from our live stream. So I was like, this is easy. Let's just like do a bunch of stupid shit in front of the green screen, go back and edit it, and then have Minus add in a bunch of visuals. So we're gonna have official video and like all this shit for this song that just talks about eating your vegetables and is like a little like house jam. And so we just gotta finish it. Like we've got the core of the song and stuff done, and added like disco strings and shit because like disco strings make everything great. Yeah,
everything better.
And it worked so well with it. Like we found like we were trying to find some other sounds, and there was like this disco string sample that we found and then chopped up and then just pitched, and it was like, actually no, we found it in the key and then chopped it up, and it just worked so well because it was just already in keys. So like, fuck yeah, this works great. And so yeah, that which makes it kind of fun and just adds a whole new life to it with that. But yeah, we started going through the clips last night. He was over and finding shit, and so now we're gonna start like cutting it all up in Premiere, and then give it to Nate and have him do like all these animated vegetable things and like these vegetables chasing us and like all kinds of shit like that, and then just put it all out. Just
the
for,
dreaded
like,
Brussels sprout.
Yeah,
To roll you over.
exactly. And there's this part that like I pour carrots on myself and just all kinds of stupid shit.
Hot.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Just like sitting there like and just all and so yeah, it was fun. It was just a lot of just like one of those things where you just carry off on this.
See,
idea.
that's a TikTok viral thing right there if I've ever heard it.
And like for real, like that was like the next. That was like why I was like, let's just distribute it. I was like, because maybe it won't do anything, but I'm at least gonna try. Well, we'll do a little video on TikTok using the song that's on TikTok, and like that we made, and so that way like and doing a whole thing and. Either it's gonna incite people to do shit and they're like, this is great, or it won't. But like I was like, let's just fucking try it and just have fun with it, because like it ended up just becoming so ridiculous that I was like, well, why not? Like, who the fuck cares at this point? Because we have a bunch of other tracks that we're releasing that are more actual tracks, but this one was just like something that just took off on its own because we just had fun with it. And so I was just like, like I like it, and like it's one of those things where you're like, it could do awesome stuff because like we think it's funny and it's great, but also you never fucking know. So
if you don't mind, I kind of want to try distributing that to some people. I want to see if you could.
Absolutely.
If we could, I would love to see if I can make something like
100%.
that viral, because I think I have some ideas. It just sounds like a fun little COVID project to just do, because if something has viral potential, that sounds like it has viral potential. So.
Yeah, definitely. And there's not a lot of times where like I'll make something that I'm like, this could actually be like that. So like it'll be an experiment, and like I'm definitely gonna put like add stuff behind it and shit, like just getting the video with the song in front of people, and just so that way, and targeted marketing that shit. That way it's just like has that potential, like, and we're gonna like release a shirt. Like there's just like a whole. I like to just take things sometimes. Like I like to just figure out, like, create whatever you can take from the brand of a branding perspective or certain things, and like how can we just build this into like an experience, right? Like instead of just having a song, like what is the experience of this song? Even though it's a ridiculous thing, it's like you can then do a couple other things based off of that, and it all is in line, just because like I like creating shirts and designs and merch and stuff and shit. So that's always the idea in our head, is like, what can we create from this? Can we create some kind of like artwork that goes with this track or whatever? And so yeah, like kind of just do this whole campaign. So I'd love to just like, I'll show you once we have all the stuff to just give it all to you and be like, let's see what we can do with it.
Yeah, and I think there's some funny plays that could happen, like if they can you share it on the right subreddit at the right time.
True, that too.
Get everyone on the label to go home to their computer and upvote it.
Yep.
That sort of stuff, because you got to do that. But you don't need
100%.
much. You don't need much on something like /r/electronic music saying that we got bored over quarantine and we made a disco track that has an important PSA for your health or something
Yeah.
like that. And
When someone fucking, when we posted like the preview, someone like was like hashtag, or someone was like vegan minimal tech, and like, you know, some shit like that, where it's like, what is vegan
yo,
minimal tech?
let's send it to Chris Liebig because
Oh, absolutely.
he's a vegan DJ, and
Oh, see, that would be the perfect thing too,
yeah,
to send to some of the like vegetarian and vegan,
yeah.
like active vegan DJs.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like you just said, there's a lot of them. So I don't. Chris Liebig is the only one I could think of, but the stereotype of vegan techno is like, it's a stereotype at this point. So we gotta. I think we can. I think you get to the right people. I bet Chris Liebig would watch it. He's sitting around. He's not on tour. So,
Exactly. This is the perfect time to get it. And those people that would just share it because they're like, this is fucking ridiculous. You
yeah.
know, like, that's
Hey,
all
if you like it,
takes.
can you throw this in your Instagram story? It'll get more people to eat vegetables.
Exactly. There's a ghost trying to get into my room right now.
Uh,
Now Josh is building all these ghost decorate Halloween stuff and for our house, and it's
that's
fucking cool. But he built this creepy ass like ghost, and he just like shoved it through the door. So I was like, just came in. But yeah, sorry. But yeah, dude, I think like, yeah, that kind of ridiculous shit has potential. So yeah, like, might as well try it. That's like we were talking about. Like, might as well just fucking try it, instead of being afraid that it might flop. And then, but oh well. Like, I think that's always the thing. It's like, well, it might not do anything. It's like, oh well, at least it could also do something,
It's not going to do anything if you don't do anything with it.
Yeah, especially it's definitely not going to do anything if you don't put it out there. Like,
yeah.
There's going to be the answer is most certainly absolutely nothing's going to happen if you don't put it out. So you can guarantee that fucking shit for yourself, which is, sometimes hard to reconcile with, because it's just like, oh, I want everyone to like it. And then you get in your head about, and then it's like, but it doesn't. Just fucking do it. Just do it. That is the motto. Just fucking, not Nike, but just fucking do it. Just do your damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with Nike, that guy, I don't know, he just did it. He saw, I don't know, shoes needing better soles, and he did it. So, he probably didn't think it was going to turn into a multi-billion-dollar company. He probably just thought, I need better running shoes. So
exactly. And oh shit, by the way, they're doing the sale with this is the sale that they were doing last year, but I guess they're still doing it. Or
they're still doing it. Oh, for the weird vocoder thing.
So for Ovox, it's 54% off. So it's only like $68, and then Waves is doing this thing where you buy one plugin, like spend $50 and get a free plugin. So you'll get Ovox plus a free Waves plugin.
Oh no shit!
I did that and got like this crazy. They had this like tape machine emulator that was really dope, and so I got that with this and actually used it a bunch too. But yeah, so that's fucking, because normally it's like $115, $120, so it's like $68 right now.
Have you ever
get another froze?
Have you ever seen this by Waves Factory, which is another plugin thing? They're not related. Waves Factory is more niche, but they have this really crazy plugin that's pretty cheap. I think it's only like $40 or something like that. What the hell is it called? It's called Trackspacer, and it uses AI essentially in order to like multi-band compress and multi-band sidechain things in a mix. So all you have to do is turn the ratio knob and set the filters, like what part you want filter of it. And
right now.
Yeah, and you could do all this other stuff in it, and it's a great plugin if you need more things to breathe in a mix, and you want to breathe in like not in a like you only want a certain part of it to breathe. For instance, like you don't want to sidechain the whole signal, you just want a little bit of it sidechained.
Yeah.
Then that's what this does, and it's
that's rad.
Especially if you're into like more like I like maximalist, not really maximalist music, but like maximalist sound. Like I have like big walls of sound that fit in as many frequencies as they possibly can. Where you're just like, where you can't. Maybe it's like comes from my anxiety, but it's like where you can't think of anything else besides that sound. So this really helps with that, being able to get like, big walls of sound to play with each other.
Damn. Yeah, that's fucking dope.
It's not a foolproof thing. You're not going to put it on and be like, it's not the sync button. but you know, it's pretty damn close. Even though
True
even
that.
disclaimer,
But still.
I like the sync button. I think it's cool as shit. I think it adds a level of artistry in some senses, allows you to do other stuff. So no
No,
knock
true. You
against the
can be
sync.
more. You can be. I mean, no, it's true. I mean, it's the same as like with digital files on CDJs, being able to lock them in easier, and that leaves you to be creative and do other things and experiment in different ways. So it's just like it depends, you know, just how you're using it. But it's like now that you have, you know, now that that technology is better, to whereas you're not constantly adjusting a vinyl record, you know, where you're like, oh fuck, and you just hear a little bit, like that's what you have to concentrate on because this shit does not lock in and it's variable and you're trying to just match it up and you're like slowly adjusting and like, you know, so that's like now you don't have to do that as much. So now you can like be more creative with bringing other things in or fucking around with looping or effects or whatever have you. And so yeah, no, I agree. Just like if you just depends on how you use that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about context. Just another tool. One thing I found. Well, first off, we've been doing this forever. I just want to mention that. So if you got something else to do, I don't want to like keep on keeping you. But
I should, yeah. I mean, sure. I should. I just realized what time it is, but yeah, I've been this has been a great conversation. But I should also get going shortly. So yes,
yeah,
but we'll have to do another one because yeah, this is obviously time flew by. So that's cool.
yeah, definitely. I didn't even realize it. I was like, huh. It's I was like, because it's 2 hours later where I am, so I'm like, oh, I'm getting a little sleepy, and then I'm like, what time is it? Oh shit, we just breezed through over 3 hours. Well, actually, way over that. We've been doing this for 3 hours and 30 minutes roughly.
Joe Rogan podcast style.
Yeah,
long form.
yeah, and I think that's what I'm trying to accomplish here is like, you know, get people to just you know, people do watch this, which is cool, but more importantly, just get people to talk. Like, I haven't talked with you before. We've been messaging on media for what, 2 years now or something
True
like that
for a minute.
Yeah. And you know, finally did this, and you know, now I know what you're doing more in depth, and you know,
yeah, vice versa,
and we can find common ground, because ultimately, like, at first I built this channel because I was like, oh, you know, I'm going to use this as some sort of way to get gigs or something like that. And then then it very quickly became not that. Like, I've never leveraged this thing to get gigs. I never really play around town. I've always used it, but I've used it because what I saw was like, oh, the scene's not at a point where I even really want them, is what I was thinking. I was like, so how can I use this in order to help get that scene and like create a conversation? And it's like conversations like this that I think help do that, because in this conversation we talked about like artistic process. We talked about how to like how you would you know, how to view music. We also talked about like changing your release schedule and having more patience with it. We also talked about like different books that people can use, and we talked about how to use your brain to run synthesizers and you know,
a lot of useful information.
a lot of really useful stuff, you know. Like but we also talked about things like, you know, nootropics to make you more productive. We talked about, you know, all that sort of stuff. Like there's you know, how music, you know, can help people with dementia, and you know, a lot of just really good stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, you know, so there's value to it at the same time. And, you know, I learned stuff from you, and I think, and vice versa. And, and, you know, and we had this conversation, and then whoever's watching this could be like, oh, that's a good book to read. I can get some information out of that. Oh, who's the flashbulb? Whoa, this music is crazy.
Yeah, get your mind prepared to be blown. Listen to
yeah. You want to, welcome to, it's like, imagine electronic musician who's also a virtuoso at like 10 different instruments.
Imagine this dude who just fucking crazy. Like, now that I know that he does all these videos, like I guess I never really thought to look. I just remember, like, after not really hearing his name for a long time, and then I saw his name at Thrada, I was like, whoa, it's been a long time, because I listened to him when like I was in like high school and like you know, shit like that. And so it was like, oh man. And then to realize that now he's doing shit like this, I'm like, I mean, of course, like the dude's like you said, he's a fucking savant, but like it's like whoa, like just crazy to see the progression and like longevity of some artists and how good they are at everything.
Yeah, apparently the reason why he did it, speaking of like unintended consequences of things, is he, and like starting with an intent and then it not being that at all. He started the channel because he was apparently becoming super introverted to the point where he was concerned that he wouldn't be able to communicate with people anymore. And he was actually getting like really concerned about that. So he used this as like his way to get more, to get less shy, essentially in a lot of ways. But you listen to him speak, and like, how could this guy ever be shy? Like, he's hilarious. Like his videos are fucking hilarious. He's such a clever man.
He is. Yeah, you can the things that he even said in that video. You're just like, damn, that's fucking. Yep, you're clever as fuck.
Yeah, he's clever. He's super clever. Like he did one recently when all the protests were happening about sound cannons, and he built he built like an LRAD in his backyard, and he would shoot it at himself, and he tried to figure out like things he could use in order to block the sound and deflect the sound of LRADs.
Holy shit!
So yeah, stuff like that. Just uber nerdy stuff, and just I definitely recommend watching.
Yeah, I'm gonna go dive into that shit too.
He does a bunch of gear review too, so he tests out like the craziest gear at the same time. So yeah, it's pretty absurd, man.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
hell yeah,
cool.
But thank you, dude. Seriously.
Thank you, Brandon. This has been good. It's good.
Yeah, dude. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I think after a while, I think this is a good way for people to communicate in long form, where there's like an intended purpose for it, rather than like getting high at the club and having to yell at each other over speakers. Like,
what? This cool song. The dynamics of this song. Oh, what? Yeah.
What? Yeah. You can yell anything. Be like, I have hives. Oh, that's cool, man.
Tight.
You're
like, oh shit.
Okay, well, you clearly didn't hear me. But yeah, man, this has been good. If I don't know, if you get people on next week, I'm down to do that. Just let me know as soon as possible, so I don't go clawing at other people's doors.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna get with everyone. I'll let you know. But if we can't do next week, it's definitely here soon. I just gotta make sure these other guys can do it. But that would be fun to have other people on too from the label and shit.
Fuck yeah. If you wouldn't mind, just let me know kind of soon, because like if you can't do it, like let me know
tomorrow.
That'd be sweet. Yeah. And then next couple days, I guess. And then if if it doesn't work out, then I have time to be like, oh shit, I'm gonna go grab some other people.
Sure that. Yeah.
That sort of thing, because one thing that I'm thinking about doing is, I've already made the list and made the pitch, is to go after musicians who are bigger musicians who play in this market, and just proposition them, but like ease it in with like a 30-minute thing, but like, hey, just for like 30 minutes, and then maybe just trap them on here for hours.
Right. Sometimes you can get caught up in that, and then it's like, if you have a good conversation, then it just keeps going. Then and then if it's a 30-minute conversation, it's a 30-minute conversation. But sometimes it's they're into it too. You have good dialogue going, so then it's like, oh, now it's an hour or whatever, and they're just into it. So like, fuck it, unless they have something really pressing. But right now, not. It's at least have more time to be able to do that, instead of like, no, I'm catching a plane in fucking 30 minutes and. So yeah, I feel that.
I think a lot of people have time, or at least there's a higher percentage. So I've just been looking at people who got their shows. Yeah, I've been looking at people who got their shows canceled in Colorado, and I'm like, maybe I should hit up these people. See,
yeah, exactly.
They didn't have their chance, so maybe they'll want to spend 30 minutes just shooting the shit. We'll see.
Yeah, doesn't hurt to ask, right?
Yeah. No, there's this. If you ever watched Last Thing before we go, there's this guy named Steve Rennie. Have you watched his music stuff?
I don't think so. I'm gonna check it out.
Steve Rennie's, I think it's Renee. Let me look it up. Steve Wren. No, that's wrong. It's like Steve Acad. It's a guy. Crap. Steve. I'm gonna type in Steve Academy Incubus because he was the manager of Incubus for the longest time. That's what his history is. Crap. No. Steve Rennie? Yeah, Steve Rennie. Rennie. And he has a great, like, bunch of free stuff. He has a more in-depth university class. I never take it, but he has a bunch of good stuff. But his main thing that he says, and he says it every single one of his things, is if you don't ask, you don't get.
True that. No, true. Fucking that.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to ask, and you just got to be okay with whatever the outcome is, right? Just accept whatever is to come, but just fucking do it. Like, just ask, just ask.
Just ask. I think that's okay. Let's leave it on on Steve Rennie's words of wisdom.
Right.
Bless.
Right. So.
Peace. All right, man. Thanks again. Maybe we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.
All right. Later.
Brother. All right.